Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? I need to put Dr. Tanastrophius' little image up on the screen because he is joining me again tonight. Al, how you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hello, Harrison. Hello, Unfitted Rogue. Hello, David. Doing good. So tonight, guys, we're going to be doing predominantly character stuff. As you can probably see on the screen here, we've already painted the background of this on stream before, but let me just flatten these images because I don't need those to be different images. But we're going to be painting 8 characters is what I need for this. So we're going to be doing this for a while. But I need Kate, Walt, Hunter, Buzz, Jude, Faye, Hank, and Victor. So lots of characters in this one shot. Do you want to pick who I do first? Dr. Tanny.
Oh, I've always got to pick Faye. That
I
big
knew
old
you were going
chunk
to
of cheesecake.
Okay. All right, Faye it is. Let me just load up her file.
Yeah, absolute waifu, that Faye.
Hello, Big Shark. Where we going? Characters. Once I get Faye up, then we can... actually... Yeah, okay, there's actually a good one of her already, so I might be able to do her quite quickly. That sounded rude. So anyway, man, we were just talking just before we went live about Aquaman. Well, we weren't actually talking about Aquaman. You said you'd rewatched it for tonight's stream, right?
I rewatched that and its companion piece, The Enemy Below, from the Justice League animated series.
Right, okay. Okay, see, I haven't watched that. I didn't get time to watch it.
Upon review, it's fun. Maybe your nephew might enjoy it. I don't think you'd get as much out of it.
Yeah, I'll say he's not, my nephew he's not really a superhero kid at all. He has no superhero stuff. He is all Jurassic and Lego.
R.I.P. Bill.
Machier, I hope I pronounced that right this time. Aquaman, more like Suxaman. Hello, Jurassic Hero. So my wife and I were scrolling through HBO Max, and she was like, "Oh, yeah," because she watches all the DC stuff. Like, she's not like a huge fan. She doesn't find them to be like amazingly good. Where the hell is this layer for Faye? Sorry, I've got Faye right here, and I can't find which one it is. Where is she? Group and Van? No, that's not that one. Wesley. Faye. It says Faye there. That's that one. Faye Chair. That's that one. Faye Chair Big. That's the close-up. And then... Ruby, no. Sorry. Faye Crossed Arms. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Bloody hell. That's a big image as well. Yeah, so we were going through, and she was like, "Oh, I haven't seen Aquaman." She was like, "Would you want to watch that? Because I know you don't really care about it." And I was like, "Go on, I'll have a laugh. It'll give me something to talk about." And I know there's like a big underwater monsters and all that. I said, I'll give it a shot. And I tell you now, man, there was not one moment in that movie where I wasn't entertained. And I had fun with it, but it was absolute garbage. Like, it was absolute tripe.
They say Jurassic Park is 2 movies squished together.
That's like 7 movies.
Aquaman is all over the place.
Oh, I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, it like, obviously, I was sitting there. Just to give you some context, the DC universe, I've only seen Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. That's it. So I like the first Wonder Woman. I haven't seen Batman v Superman, although I know like a lot what happens in that based on YouTube reviews I've watched and breakdown videos and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of know what happens in it, but I haven't actually sat down to experience it, like, and judge it on my own terms. Really, I'm only judging it really via other people's opinions, which is a really bad thing to do, but I just don't really care for superhero movies.
It's a sub-economy. It happens.
Yeah. But then I was watching Aquaman with my wife, and I was laughing my head off. I was like, "This is hilarious." I was like, I can't. This was made. This got off the ground somehow.
I had forgotten how many legitimately really, really good scenes are buttressed up against some really dumb let's pee on it stuff.
Yeah. I think the film is perfectly summed up by the drum playing octopus, which I absolutely think is my favourite moment in any superhero movie to come out in the last 20 years. It's straight out of Little Mermaid. You just see this octopus going ding, 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 under the water, and I was like, okay.
They made a world that
yes,
I will give them this credit. They put more thought into Atlantis than I think anyone has in the past 20 odd years.
Well, no, they took every single idea ever and put it into one movie. I was joking with my wife. I was saying that I kept saying to my wife, I was like, okay, here's the pitch meeting for the CGI artists at the beginning of production. They were like, okay, James Wan, what do you want us to do? And he went, everything. And they were like, what? It's because there was a bit in it, and what made me really laugh about that was there's a bit in the film where they're talking about Atlantis in its heyday, and it's a flashback, and it can't just fade to white and you see the city as it is. No, everything has to reverse in time, so all the statues rebuild themselves and all this sort of stuff. I was like, this is ridiculous. And then when we got to the dinosaurs, I was like, oh my god, they literally have got everything in this movie. I was like, they've yeah.
I know Marvel has a secret under the earth layer where there are dinosaurs, and I want to say DC has something similar,
right.
But the name really just escapes me at this moment.
Yeah, the one of the main villains is that bug-looking guy, and I couldn't get past him, his design, and I had to look it up because I was like, is that what he looks like in the comic books?
Oh, Black Manta?
All right, that's his name. Okay, yeah, Black Manta.
I was just about to ask you what you thought about his subplot.
I thought he was such a crap character.
Really? Because I thought it was the best Black Panther ripoff that I've seen since Black Panther.
Well, I'll get on to Black Panther in a minute because I actually brought that up when we were watching it as well. But no, I thought he was really bad because his dad shoots Aquaman at the beginning. It does nothing, and then he goes, save him, like that, and he's like, no, you killed innocent people. So Aquaman leaves him, and then and then his dad goes, go and kill him. It's you can't. You just proved to yourselves that you can't kill this guy. I get the whole they want revenge or whatever for. I don't know. It just seemed really convoluted, those two characters.
Those two actors put their all into that moment,
know.
Though.
They thought we're going to be in this big blockbuster movie, and we're not going to let the chance to not shine and make ourselves known.
I will say, I love that Black Manta just pops out of nowhere and starts quoting H.P. Lovecraft and blasting shit, no questions. Just, I'm here to kill.
But he's such a rubbish villain. He didn't do anything. And that was and then they set up the sequel, oh, he's coming back, and me and my wife are laughing, thinking he was awful. He was a really bad villain. If he actually did something of some damage to Aquaman, then sure, you'd be okay,
he burned him, but he got healed with the magic kelp.
It was instant. The next scene, he's fine. It's no, you want to see him struggle. It's not Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man, right? And
yeah.
And he beats the living crap out of Spider-Man at the end of that movie. But when he dies, you're okay, he's dead. But when you hear him come back in the subsequent sequels, it's yeah, I want to see more of him. You want to see more of that character. But this guy, I was I do not give a crap about this guy.
But I don't know. I was endeared by the details, and I have a firmer attachment to the iconography of those characters. It was really cool seeing Milquetoast Man put on the Ocean Master helmet and really like own it, and it didn't even look that bad.
Ocean Master. We were laughing at that as well. It's such a bad title. It's like I'm not giving it any credit. Like we were proper ripping into it, like we were watching something like Batman and Robin last night. It was so fun. It was fun, and it wasn't like
doesn't deserve that much credit. I will be perfectly.
No, I mean, like we were just having fun. We had some beers. We were just watching this film, and we were just ripping into it, regardless of anything. It was really fun. And my wife, it was right at the beginning. My wife turned to me when they said the line, "The ocean brings people together," and my wife was like, "No, it doesn't. It separates people by great land masses are just separated by the ocean." Well, who wrote this? And she was instantly complaining like 2 minutes into the movie because of one of Nicole Kidman's lines. She was like, "What is a 6-year-old wrote this script?" I was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be great." But
they did not know how to handle love interest girl. They tried their hardest, but
Ariel, she was. I don't even know. I just couldn't. I couldn't stop. The film just. I hear people say like movies don't stop to breathe nowadays. Well, I'm starting to believe it because bloody hell, this film, like I blinked and they were in the desert, and I was like, and I'd forgotten what the hell they were trying to do, and then they were like, we're trying to find this trident thing, and I was like, okay, so now they're in the desert, finding the trident thing, and then it like cuts and they're in some marketplace, like going, la 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 la. What happened? You were in the desert 5 seconds ago.
And then the little girl, just to force the plot, they couldn't bother Miss Amber Heard to walk over to a store and find a book of Pinocchio. Her interaction, that book had to be brought to her to save her a few steps.
So bad. Oh god, I was just laughing my head off, thinking this is like one of the big superhero movies. I just couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, oh no, what? I just didn't feel like I was missing out. That's how it really felt like at the end of the day. I was like, I'm not missing out on anything by having my this franchise fatigue. I was like, this is exactly why I've got franchise fatigue for superhero films. It's like this. It's like it's too much. There's too much going on. It needed to be boiled down to the bones. Like it was like someone watched Thor, and they went, you know what? We need to tailor make this movie like Marvel's Thor. You got the Warring Brothers. You've got the instead of Asgard, you've got Atlantis. You've got the Rainbow Road, which is like or Rainbow Bridge, but that's like this like I guess motorway into the.
Yeah, and that was just a set piece. Like, it didn't even matter.
I know, but they spend so much time on it, like, building up, like, it was a big ore moment. And I was saying...
Literally waiting in traffic, I might add.
Yeah. And I said to my wife at that point, I was like, this really feels like they've set it up like this is the first time we're seeing something amazing in this movie. Like, this is their... almost... like seeing the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park moment. It's like, whoa, we're going to Atlantis. Like, this is amazing. Like, what is this place? But we'd already seen the whole council meeting with their like monstrous dinosaurs or whatever in a scene a few moments ago. So like, kind of the awe aspect was already gone. Like, there wasn't any chance to get that from it. So I was just like, yeah, this just feels like they're trying to do like an Avatar seeing. I mean, the same thing happened in Avatar, the James Cameron movie, where they're seeing those floating mountains for the first time, and for the characters, yeah, it's like, whoa, look at this. But for the audience, like, okay, well, you've just shown us like this alien world is ridiculous, but this is nothing new. So it's very hard to like.
There were amazing things to look at, like Nicole Kidman in her white outfit. That was quite lovely.
De-aged Nicole Kidman.
I don't care. I would let her destroy me 8 ways from Sunday. Yes, Catwoman. Yes, Atlanta.
But yeah, I just I don't know, it just really, really felt it's just too much. There was just so much going on. I just couldn't really. I could not take the film seriously. I couldn't believe that this is what was meant to be part of the same universe. And the character of Aquaman, what a cocky shit. Like, I could not... There's a scene where, like, we cut to the past, and his younger self is being trained by Willem Dafoe. And they're
they wasted good Willem Dafoe's honest time with that movie.
Well, the thing is, like, there's a moment with this younger version of Aquaman. They're like on the beach, and he's teaching him like a shield version where he's like spinning the water around to create like some sort of shield. And the actor who plays Aquaman, and that young actor who plays Aquaman in that scene, is so much more charismatic as an actor. In that brief moment, I was like, he's more believable. Like, I'm actually invested in him as Aquaman because he's naive. He's asking questions that I'm asking, and that means like everything he learns is going to be like a shock moment for us, the audience. I'm like, why did they not just start Aquaman's story from like the opening, and we actually see his journey to becoming Aquaman from there, rather than cutting backwards and forwards in time and deflating the reveals of things. Like it kind of felt like that was the movie they should have done. Because in that one moment, I was like, that was a good scene. And that was like the only scene I really liked.
Turns out in the original script, there was a lot more, but they put out a casting call for kids who looked like Jason Momoa and came up really short.
You see all these hulking, huge kids just turn up. They're like, you look a little bit too like him. But like, don't get me wrong, like when I say like that's the only scene I liked a lot of scenes in the movie, but it was just for completely different reasons than what I guess the director would hope, or what the filmmakers would hope. Like, I just couldn't get on board with it. I was like, this is bad. This is really bad.
I don't know what drugs they were on this day, but
yeah, where are they? Can I get some of those? Like, Dino-Defenders needs a kick.
I don't know if it needs that kind of kick. But the moment where Aquaman has to retrieve the trident is inspired. Like, it's actually, like, take that scene on its own, it's actually really, really good.
Yeah, with the big like really Kraken monster thing. Is that right? Is that the one with the big monster that's like guarding the trident?
It's something that's a Kraken, but not It's a Karen. I don't know.
I think with all the H.P. Lovecraft nods, it's probably Cthulhu. That's probably what they'd say. It's like a Cthulhu nod.
And then he rides it into the fucking final battle, because of course he has to.
But that annoyed me as well. Like when that came out, my wife turned to me. She's like, "And now the film's Pacific Rim," and I was like, "Yep." It's like there's another idea. They watched Pacific Rim and went, "Hey, that's cool. Let's do that as well." But yeah, the riding the giant Kraken thing and basically what I'm saying is Aquaman's power, but Aquaman didn't feel like all that powerful except for the opening scene with the submarine, where the first thing we see what he does is like lift a submarine out of the ocean. The rest of the film, it's like he just talks to the animals, and I don't really see any superhero-ness. Like he beats up another Atlantean, but that means nothing to us because that's another Atlantean. They're on the same level playing field in terms of strength, really. So I just didn't get the superhero feel from him at all. It kind of just felt like, okay, I'm watching aliens do stuff. Like, it didn't feel like I'm watching. That's why I like The Kid, because it's like when you watch superhero films, why origin stories tend to be really palpable is, you know, you're in their shoes. You see like Spider-Man get his powers, and you learn how he learns his powers. And obviously that's kind of made a bit redundant nowadays because the amount of origin films that have been done. But this, as an origin film, I kind of feel like there's so much mythos and so much wonder and awe that you want to capture with this insane world that you're about to explore. It's like it would have been nice to actually explore it from a naive person's point of view from the beginning to the end, rather than cutting back and forth. It just felt a bit jaded that way for me.
I have a fan's fix that I will ring flat to you, to be perfectly honest. But you replace Mira with Wonder Woman, and I
Who's
think
Mira? Was that the redhead?
red-haired love interest.
Okay.
If you pull her out and put Wonder Woman in, I think it'll help the dynamic a little bit, and it gives a little more gravity to him being a hero because they fought Steppenwolf / Darkseid together, and they've got a bit of camaraderie and a pre-established relationship going on.
How would she breathe underwater,
romantic.
or would you just ignore that and be like she's a superhero god thing? So
Well, I don't know. I would go hard and be like she's made of clay, like OG origin, like she's effectively stone, or you. Honestly, like those two ideas, Themyscira and Atlantis, are like right next to each other in terms of like real life lore. They're both rooted in ancient Greek and Hellenic and Italian myth. Like, I know the comics have played around with them like having a pre-existing relationship before, and I like that dynamic because they both come from similarly flavored worlds.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, like you said, like that rings a bit redundant for me, but like, yeah, I get if you're into that, that would work better.
It gives a half step between the setting we got in the Wonder Woman movie to this one, and it serves the world. It's not. It won't improve anything that Mira does if Wonder Woman does it. It just actress replacement at a certain point. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would work. What else was there? Yeah, okay, the Black Panther thing, right? There was moments where I was like, I don't know, when did Black Panther come out? Did this come out before or after Black Panther?
Give me a moment. Aquaman was 2018.
Oh, so after or before, because I think Black Panther was 2018. No, 2019. Right? I can't remember.
They're both 2018, and I think it's going to come down to months. And okay, Aquaman was December, so late in the year, and Black Panther's February, so early in the year. So they probably had like 6-8 months to either course correct or redirect towards Black Panther, depending on how they wanted to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying like they wanted to copy Black Panther, but there was a lot of similarities there. I definitely felt like they were just trying to copy the model of Thor. That's what it felt like, but they did everything wrong. Like, not Thor necessarily the comic books, but Thor the Marvel movie. They were like, oh yeah, this is our Thor for this franchise. But they did everything wrong. Like, why Thor the first movie is not the greatest movie ever made, but the thing it does right is it like shows you the world where Thor comes from, shows him being cocky, and then they strip him of his powers, and he has to learn humility. He has to learn to be humble before he can wield the giant axe thing. Whereas,
oh my god, Unfitted Rogue just said Aquaman is Black Panther, but in reverse. He's right, or she. I don't know.
You have to explain that one to me because I can't really remember like Black Panther.
Black Panther, at least elementally, the Black Panther's the pre-established king defending his kingdom, and then an outside rogue merged with the other world comes in and fucks his whole day up. Whereas in Aquaman, the hero is the outsider who comes in and fucks up on the pre-established king's ideal little world.
Yeah. But it's like just bringing up the Thor aspect, because you got the warring brothers. And it's like the reverse of Thor. So you've got the
mythical world, the godlike powers, the legendary weapon.
Yeah, Loki's a half-breed with the Frost people, if I remember correctly. And obviously, I was about to call him Thanos. Aquaman is a half-breed between the humans and the Atlanteans. And you've got one who's wants to be king, and this and the Warring Brothers is an old mythological tale anyway, so it's not. I'm not saying that's like a surprise that they've done that, and especially when it's dealing with kingdoms and stuff, because that goes all the way back to Cain and Abel. But the they're not. What was the thing about Thor? It's like what they got right was stripping Thor of his power so he could learn to be humble, whereas Aquaman, he was just a douchebag as soon as we meet him. Like Thor was at the beginning, but Aquaman never loses his powers or learns to not be a douchebag. He's a douchebag from beginning to end, and he just wins from being a douchebag. And it's like, okay, well, I don't like this character. He's a dick. He doesn't deserve it.
He even has a moment with love interest where he expresses these exact points. I'm a blunt instrument and I don't get along with other people.
Exactly.
But you're born of two worlds, and even though you're a blunt instrument, you're necessary for my political ends. Go do this.
Yeah, they needed a moment where he really showed his humanity, and that's what made him different to the Atlanteans. But all they did was make
Kraken moment, I felt.
I've never seen a human ride a giant monster into war. Like that was
the
least
verbal exchange with the Kraken, because he solves his problem by speaking to the big monster, and then he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. People just told me to come here, and everyone's gonna die if I don't. And they even took the nod from Conan and said, if you don't like it, screw you. But they softballed it PG-13 style.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that, but there doesn't. Where's the moment where he learns that that's what he should do?
Oh, he doesn't learn anything.
No, it just seems to come out of left field that he knows to say that. It's like, where's the moment where he learns something, where he goes, oh God, well, actually my humanity is the strength, and then he goes to the. Like, imagine if he went to the Kraken thing and it pushed him away and he managed to survive. And he's like, oh, but I can't get the thing. And he's like, I failed. I'm not a king. I shouldn't get it, and all this sort of stuff. And then something happens where he learns, actually, hang on a second. If I take it with this approach, maybe that's it. Maybe I need to be I need to balance myself between Atlantean and human, and this is the way to do it. And then we get that scene as it is in the film. And then you're like, okay, cool. He's learned his lesson. But in this film, it's like he's just douchebag. Hey, I'm a human. Screw you. Hey, I'm the king of Atlantis. It's like, what?
There are tiny glimmers of moments they really should have stuck with it. Like the very end when he's like, when you're ready, come talk to me, bro. That like felt genuinely human in a movie very much lacking it.
Yeah, by that point I was out. I was like,
it's so deep in its own problems where it does work, doesn't help anyone.
And bear in mind, I don't want to fall into the trap, when we did the last stream, and I was saying that people watch a movie once and then they go on a tirade and they'll say all these mistakes because they've only watched it once. So I will fully admit there's probably things I'm forgetting because I've only seen the film once. So I might rag on the film for a while and then realise, or someone might point out, hang on a second, no, it's like when I did my Godzilla King of the Monsters review, and I said in the review, I was like, where are the twin fairies? I was like, you got Mothra, but they didn't have the twin fairies in the film. They're in the film. They're so blatantly in the movie, but because I'd watched it once, for some reason I wasn't paying attention, and I just completely missed out on it, even though they're right there. And they even have a whole moment in the movie where they talk about it. So it's like, okay, clearly whatever I was doing in the cinema at that point, my brain was off.
I don't want you to feel a rush to go back and have to endure this movie again. I'm
sorry, man. I'm not ever watching it again. I can't.
Fair. That's
2.5 hours. There's other things I need to do. Like, I'm not invested enough in it. Like, there's Marvel movies I go back and watch. Well, I say I go back and watch, but I used to go back and watch. This was before even like Avengers was out. This was like Avengers was coming out, and I'd heard about Thanos being the villain and all this sort of stuff. So I've only ever read Infinity War. That's the only Marvel comic I've read ever. So I was like, okay, I'm invested in this.
That's a shit fuck of an introduction to just walk in on as a comic book fan, because that's like built on. It's like a coral reef built on 25 years of pre-established.
Well, what was funny was
lore.
I read the book. I've still got it. I've still got my copy, and I actually really enjoy it. I don't know any of the the build up to get to it, but I actually just really enjoy it as a story. And so I was like, okay. But when that was when I was like, I didn't have my superhero fatigue, so I was like, okay, I'll go back. I watched Iron Man 1 a few times. I'd go and watch. I've watched 4 a couple of times. I showed my wife all of them in one day, and then we went to go see Avengers. Like I did that back in 20 or whenever they came out, 2010, 2013 era. But with this at this point in time, I'm like, nope. There's like a lot of the Marvel films I don't even want to go back and watch. It's not even necessarily because they're bad movies. It's just I just don't care. Like it's like one and done kind of deal. And if like. Because a lot of my family members are like hugely into the Marvel movies, so like they'll watch them all the time. So they'll be on in the background or something. But like, I'm caught up with the lore. So like I have caught up with the lore as so far as in like my nephews will talk to me about it, and I'll be like, okay, yep. And then I'm like the old man, like, is that this guy? And they're like, no, that's the other. I'm like, okay, and then they go, well, what's your theories? And then I'll give them that. But as far as like, you just mentioned the name Steppenwolf or something, it's like, I don't even know who the hell that is. Like, that's completely lost on me.
Well, it should have been Granny fucking Goodness.
Who?
But that's just me. It does. I gain no Granny Goodness, another character you'll never see, but just more visually interesting. Instead of being a generic monster, she's an old lady in a witch costume, and she's absolutely terrifying. She's just one of Darkseid's henchmen, and
I'm sorry, I don't even know who Darkseid is. Who's Darkseid?
He's Thanos. Darkseid is Thanos.
Oh, okay. Is that his other name?
No, they're essentially the same character, and there were some lawsuits involved, but the details of
you're saying Darkseid is in DC?
Darkseid is DC's.
So I thought you meant Darkseid was actually Thanos, just a different name, and then I was getting really, really confused. See,
if you want a
happened.
masterclass on the two characters, Death Battle actually broke them down fairly well. But again, like, speaking from the guy who has all this knowledge and has been following a lot of these characters since they premiered on television, I'm kind of over it, and I'm sad. It's the same problem I mentioned before about I can't watch the Dark Knight movies anymore, because I can see how the Dark Knight and Batman Begins led directly to this Aquaman movie, and it doesn't.
I don't. You're gonna have to explain that one to me. I do not see the Dark Knight at all. Because of Man of Steel and building the DC. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm with you. Okay,
and the biggest problem that I think you might be able to identify with, and I'm going to send you a picture of one fictional character.
Okay.
You check it out in a little bit. The biggest problem of these movies is that almost everyone is horrendously miscast. And Jason Momoa should have been a completely different character who is a hard-headed asshole. Your takeaway from this movie. Mm-hmm. His name is Lobo, and he is an intergalactic bounty hunter. I'm just going to send you this. I'm going to send you a picture, and you'll be like, "Oh, yeah. Why didn't they make him Lobo?"
Okay, right. Let me know when you've sent it. Yeah, there's just something about superhero movies now that, I don't know, they all just feel cheap. There's something about them that, to me, they just feel cheap, and I don't know if that's just because they have to get them done within a certain amount of time before the next one comes out. I mean, the amount of CGI in that movie last night. Now, this isn't a knock on CGI. It was
Transformers level.
More than Transformers. Transformers actually filmed on sets. Like, this one was like completely underwater for a lot of the movie, so it's like a lot of just made up locations. But the point was, like, the amount I'm commending the CGI artists, because my God, when I was making the joke about everything, there is literally everything in the movie. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Especially, like, there was that big tidal wave at one point, and I was like, Jesus Christ, now this is like 2012 level. There's like ships flying into buildings and all sorts. It's like, what is going on?
I sent you the photo, and you're 100%. You're 100%
okay, I see it
correct.
Instantly, yeah, that looks like Jason Momoa.
Shirt off, haircut, everything.
Mm-hmm. What are those two things dangling between his legs? That's not...
Oh, those are nuts. Not testicles, but he's like Scorpion, and he's got a chain thing with a hook on it.
Right, okay.
And
he had some,
bola, that's the word I'm looking for. Bola.
I thought he had some like metal testicles between his legs.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I might just bring this up on the stream so people can see. So they can actually see what we're discussing. Let's bring this image up for you guys. Bear with me.
I'm telling you, man, he absolutely should have been Lobo. And
this guy.
Chat's on my side.
This guy. Never heard of this guy before. Yeah, that should have been Jason Momoa. Is he in the DCU then, I'm guessing?
Yes, he's okay. He's a Superman.
He's
a Superman
villain. I'm just zooming in on his testicles.
They're worth checking out. The art's really good on that one.
Look at those. Couple of nuts. Yeah, okay.
He's a Superman villain, and he came around in the 80s, 90s as kind of a response to like the edgy Frank Millers and Wolverine type characters going on. And he is meant to be a foil for Superman in every way. He is also the last of his race. However, he's the one who exterminated his race. He's nigh invulnerable, not because of any special power, but because he has been permanently banned from both heaven and hell for his crimes.
I mean, it's not hard to get banned from heaven for crimes.
He more or less had a run where he took over hell, if I understand it correctly.
Right.
I haven't read that one in particular. But he is just such a simple, effective character that a great missed opportunity among many within the DCEU. And that's all I see anymore is just these roads that they completely ignore that would serve the exact story that they're telling. And they're left to be animated features, basically.
Yeah, but people don't know this guy. Like the general public, they vaguely know Aquaman a bit more, so that's what'll put bums in seats.
The other thing is he's a hair too similar to Deadpool because he's kind of anti-hero-ish, and he doesn't break the fourth wall in the same way as Deadpool does. But Lobo is a character that understands where he is in the cosmos more so than other characters.
Is Lobo also a character from a B movie that they watch on Red Letter Media, or am I just making that up?
I don't think so, unless there's a short fan film that they might have done years ago, but
on Red Letter Media, I swear on Best of the Worst they watch a film and there's a character in there called Lobo that they always joke about. But
the show Krypton actually did a really neat rendition of Lobo on screen. They found a way to make him work with a completely different actor, and for a TV movie or a TV show, CW grade.
What is your favorite superhero movie?
Oh man, Batman '89. I have a lot of personal attachment to, so I'm gonna put that in its own special category. Blade. Ooh, I really like how simple Blade is.
Catch you fuckers at a bad time.
Motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
Yeah. I love Blade. I haven't watched Blade in years, but I used to watch that all the time as a teenager.
It stands up. It stands up on its own 2 feet.
Right.
Spawn as well, and that I fold that live action movie, which a lot of people hate on. That I think was it in terms of comic book adaptations. Spawn is pretty much a 1-to-1 adaptation. Like they leave out a few characters just for the sake of time and just cut right to the heart of the story. But that released at the similar-ish time as the HBO animated series. So,
I used to watch. No, I used to watch the animated series.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's awesome. The boobs, the gore. It was like my childhood, my early teens was like all about that Spawn series because it used to be on TV really late at night in the UK, and I don't think anyone knew about it, like at my school or anything. And I managed to record a few episodes, and I was like showing my friends like, "Go watch this. Go watch the Spawn animated series. It's really good."
As far as like mainstream titles go, I do like Man of Steel. Man of Steel, I think, again, opened up a lot of doors to a lot of potential.
Well, you mean the new Man of Steel, like
the new Man of Steel.
Okay.
And I not to put away the Richard Donner movies because I love those as well.
I haven't watched those in years. Man of Steel, funny story, me and my friend Jack watched that one day. I hadn't seen it before, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And then I went home and there's a shop in the UK where you can buy DVDs, secondhand DVDs and stuff, really cheap, and I bought it on Blu-ray. And I said to my wife, who was my fiance at the time, I was like, "You got to see the Superman film. It's really good." And then I watched it, and I don't want to like make you feel bad, but like I watched it, I was like, what the hell was I thinking last night? This film's not my cup of tea at all. My wife was looking at me like, what is this? Because it was like all this like just the insane destruction going on and all this sort of stuff, and we were just like, what is happening right now?
The X factor, I think, really is the soundtrack. The soundtrack for like Star Wars, Jurassic Park carries so much and flows so much with what we're seeing on screen. And the same is true. Okay, you could hum the bars of the Batman theme pretty off the top of your head. Superman, it's part of pop culture at this point. And even the Avengers theme, I think, has gotten a little there. That da da da.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
However, Man of Steel I've become very familiarized with that soundtrack, and I love it. And it's a waste of an amazing soundtrack, unfortunately. And the thing that's really, really lacking in the new DC movies is there's no good Wonder Woman's theme is trash. You just heard Aquaman's theme. What is it? I'ma smash it.
No, I know the theme. It went. It was Africa by Toto, but it was like some pop music version that was really, really shit, and so out of left field compared to the scene that just happened before.
And only like 10 seconds of it too, to let you know that's the song being played.
Yeah, because they're in Africa, don't you know? That's where the characters are. Just to remind you. Oh god, that movie. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I haven't seen Batman 89 in a while, but I remember really, really liking that movie. Yeah, really good. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not on board with these modern superhero films now. Again, like, we're talking about the major ones. There are superhero films that have come out that I have enjoyed that aren't major ones, and series. Like I liked One Punch Man. I really enjoyed One Punch Man, and that's a superhero property.
That was a good first episode that I didn't bother to follow up on.
Oh, what? One Punch Man?
Yeah, interesting concept. It didn't pull me in.
Yeah, so
I'm jaded to anime, though. I'm very jaded to anime.
Well, I'm not a huge anime fan. Like, I don't watch loads of anime. And, like, there's so many things that people say, have you watched this or this? And I'm like, no idea what you're talking about. But One Punch Man Season 1, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. I like the premise. It's funny. And it's surprising how, for me, I know you said you couldn't get past the first episode, but for me, I was like, it's surprising how much they're actually keeping me on board with this simple premise. But by the end I was like, okay, well, I don't need to see any more seasons of this because the joke has sort of run its course, and I get it. And they're not bringing anything like serious, anything more serious to the plate, to make it like to up the stakes, because the irony is there's no, or not the irony, but like the whole story is like there's no stakes with him. Like, it's just one punch and they're dead. Like, that's the whole point. And you know, no matter how much the villains will ramble on about how strong they are, it's game over as soon as he just punches them or flicks them at one point. But
Massier wants to know if we've seen Constantine. Now, he says City of Demons. I don't know. I've seen the Keanu Reeves version, and there's some good moments in that. The devil scene, the finale is outstanding. The finale is that whole movie.
I've only seen it once, and it was absolutely years ago. I think it was like around the time it came out. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that, really. I will probably go around to watching it again. Yeah, Constantine. That's got Tilda Swinton, right? And Rachel Weisz in it as well. Am I right?
Yeah, that was the movie that broke Tilda Swinton to me. At least I wasn't aware of her before then. That she started popping up everywhere.
I think that's too many tears for Faye. Maybe she just needs one.
I mean, who's not in this scene? Her sister.
Exactly. Right, so I think Faye is done for now. Oh wait, is there any details I'm forgetting?
I could not sully the noble Australian accent even if I tried. Harrison McCarthy.
Harrison's asking us if we can do an Australian accent. I don't know if I can. I mean, I've got friends in Australia. Got a Tim who lives in Perth. Don't know if I can do it, mate. You're gonna have to I'll get back to you on that. How was that?
I sound good to me, partner.
Partner.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm going to cross out Faye because we've done her. Hey, Jesus, that only took 45 minutes for one character.
Is that good or bad?
That's bad. No, that's actually pretty good, actually, if I'm honest. Okay, so Faye is done. Who's next? Who are we doing next?
Let's take a breather and put it up to chat. And if you want to go like right now, Walt. But we'll give chat a minute to come back on this. What are your favorite superhero movies? Especially since they're not your wheelhouse.
My favorite. So yeah, this is why I'm probably just gonna. Okay, I've had 2 votes for Walt, by the way, including your one. So I'm probably just gonna do Walt. My favorite superhero movie is probably Hulk by Ang Lee.
Ooh, that is.
Oh, go on. What are you gonna say?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, way to pick a dark horse.
Well, when I was a kid, I had a rule. I had this stupid rule that I used to put on myself, where I'd go to the cinema and I'd watch a film, and I would then say I'm not going to watch that until it comes out on Blu-ray, or not Blu-ray, VHS, right? I'm not going to watch it until it comes out to rent. And that was my rule. I was like, I only ever want to watch films in the cinema once, because by the time it comes out on video, I'd have forgotten everything that happened. And and then that means I could. Sorry, I'm concentrating on what I'm doing here, but I need to say this. So I'd watch it at the cinema once, and then I'd wait for it to come out on VHS, and that means that like I'd forget everything that happened, because back in the day there was such a big time difference between films being out in the cinema and then when they're released. So I would have that rule, but Hulk was the first one that broke that for me. Hulk was the first one where I was like, I need to watch that again. I really enjoyed that. Something clicked in me. So then I went back and watched it again at the cinema. So it was the first one that broke that rule. And then I've never been able to hold that rule ever since then for the movies that I really enjoy. I usually go back and watch them once or twice. But the reason I like Hulk is because it's so... It takes itself seriously. It might not seem like that in moments, but it does. And I think like to do a film about a character who is plagued by hate or like anger, it's just like absolutely bottled up. They did a really, really good job of capturing that as a feeling, because when you watch the film, like I feel angry watching it. Like I'm like this is tense, like the way his father's treating him, the whole past, like, you know, the ghosts in the closet kind of thing, like or the skeletons in the closet motif that's going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of like hardcore child abuse stuff going on in that movie, isn't there? It has been a long time since I've watched this film.
So it really builds it up to the point where when he finally does become the Hulk and he rages, you're like, okay, I fully understand why he's angry, and it makes sense. Whereas like in like the new Marvel, just to compare, like in the new Marvel, I never really got that. Like he's just like, and now he's Hulk who's wearing hoodies and doing dabs, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you've lost me. Like I like Hulk who's dangerous to people because of his anger. But I also just like the style. Like I like the comic book style, the way the editing in it is amazing. And
a lot of those visual things lived on in all the other movies that was before the Edward Norton Hulk, which is technically supposed to be part of the modern MCU. Yeah,
and they also did kind of mention that that this Hulk, the Ang Lee Hulk, could be tied. I remember back in the day saying that could be tied to the Edward Norton one, because they don't mention how he originally became the Hulk.
Yeah, they left it open for possibilities, which I did really like the Edward Norton Hulk.
I didn't. I was against that. I like the beginning when he's like hiding, but everything when they get to the college or wherever it is and the Hulk first comes out and he's like on the green taking down helicopters, or he bursts out of the glass, the CGI, it's one of those moments where the CGI was so bad I was taken out of the movie, and I was like, this is really distracting me from the story. And then all the whole ending, I just didn't care for it.
That's where I was with Aquaman. I got visually bored during that Aquaman fight.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah.
The I guess the stated problem with Hulk is a scale problem, because Marvel doesn't trust their Bruce Banners enough, really, to give them enough movie and enough story to, like, Hulk should be your stinger in a certain sense, because you can't if Hulk comes out, there's only one way to solve that problem, and the only thing worth making the Hulk come out for is the biggest problems.
Yes. Well, that's the in the Ang Lee one, I mean, he is the problem. That's the whole movie, is characters are thinking he's the problem, and not only that, he thinks he's the problem.
I know, and that to that movie's credit, that's the movie that really trusted building a Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made Bruce really interesting as a character, not just the fact that he can turn big and green and smash stuff up. Like the Hulk as a character has its moments of interest, but you don't really feel they're different. That's the thing. You feel like he's still Bruce when he's the Hulk, but he's the Bruce that's finally been unleashed, kind of thing. And I just really love it. It's I love the score, everything about it. I think I'm one of those people who thinks the CGI is really good for 2003. That Hulk, even though I will admit he does look a bit goofy because of the haircut and the shape of his head. He doesn't look like the best Hulk, but at the same time, the actual what's the realism of his skin and the way he looks in the world that they put him in, like, looks really good in my opinion. Like it's a real crowning achievement for ILM, I think.
To be clear, for Titan of Serpents, yes, the Ang Lee 2003 Hulk is the one that Jack is talking about.
Yeah, I absolutely love that movie. Like, I really do. And that's one of the reasons I've got the PS2 sequel game. I want to stream that in the future because they made a sequel to that film, but as a video game, and that game's a lot of fun. I played it before, so one of these days I'll be playing that on stream. So, but yeah, I'd say that I do like Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. I think that's really good. It's funny as well. Like, it's funny, and I mean funny as in like a Star Wars prequel kind of funny, because it's quite memeable. It's like there's a lot of moments in it where you're like, yeah, I know, I'm laughing at the film because it's like the memes, but at the same time, I do like those movies. I think it's a solid trilogy, and I think Chris Nolan did achieve something with that trilogy. Exactly what would have to be a whole different conversation, I guess, about that, but I don't want to dwell on it for too long. What was the other superhero movie I watched recently? Oh, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. What a lovely film. It's so quaint, and like me and my wife watched it 2 days ago because of we were just sitting there, and I was like, do you want to watch The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? And I did a commentary on it early last year during the lockdowns, and Hulk as well, actually. But League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, for me, like, it's before its time. Like, if that film came out today, it would be lapped up. Not necessarily for the characters, because a lot of those characters would fly over people's heads, but the way the film is made and the way it sets up the League, and that's and I know it's Alan Moore, based on a graphic novel already, but like that was the Avengers before the Avengers. And,
definitely. And
it proves how like the audiences didn't really care for that type of thing back in the day, but they do now. So it's like I kind of appreciate it for being ahead of its time. And I remember watching it for the first time because I just had some pocket money when it came out, and I was like, oh, I want to buy a movie. And then that had just come out. It was like the brand new, like literally on the shelves that day. And I was like, I'm going to buy this. I don't know what it is. And I fell in love with it then and there. I was like, this is a fun movie. It's not the best. It's got some ropey moments, but it's a lot of fun. It's just harmless fun, really.
I suppose I'll just have to list Alien Resurrection as one of my favorite superhero movies.
No. Oh, God. Yeah, it is a superhero movie. This is the one where Ripley becomes a superhero. She's half alien now. I don't know, what some of the other ones?
I'm racking my brain. I know, I'm trying to avoid, like, because I didn't see the damn movie. There was Bright. No, not Bright. That's
I
that's
saw
the fantasy
Bright.
movie. Yeah. Oh, how was it?
I didn't like it. It's crap.
Fair enough. I have no attachment to it. Hate on it all you want.
Yeah, no, it's not that I hate on it. It's
what's
just
the one with?
not good.
It was a evil take on Kid Superman. I'm leery about seeing it because I don't want to. No, well, Chronicle was all right.
Evil superhero.
I will find it. Give me a moment.
I'm trying to think. There was another superhero film that I was like, yeah, that's one I would. Obviously, I like Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and 2, and I do have nostalgia for 3, but it's not a good movie.
Brightburn is the movie I'm thinking of. It's the concept of Superman, but he comes to Earth, and now there's this little child with laser eyes and can crush steel with his bare hand, and he decided he doesn't like you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I haven't actually even heard of that, so
I'm afraid to watch it only because I don't want it to. I've heard good things, but I want to see a good Superman movie so bad.
I used to like Superman Returns. I actually used to think
it's got moments.
Yeah, I used to think it was actually an alright movie despite what everyone else said, but I can't watch it now because of Kevin Spacey. Basically, Kevin Spacey has ruined every movie he's ever been in for me, and it's a real shame.
A little bit.
Freaking love.
A little bit.
I think 7 is the only one that gets away with it because he's the villain in that movie, so it makes me go, okay, I really hate him even more. But like, I can't watch movies with him in anymore. There's just something about it where I'm like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. It's like it's really hard to divorce the actor from the real person, or like the actor from the character is what I'm trying to say.
Sooner or later, someone will deep fake him out of that movie.
That's such a shame though, because he is a good actor. That's the problem.
I know. And then you got to ask yourself the moral question of like, can I still listen to Thriller and enjoy it?
See, with that, yeah, I don't have as much of attachment to Michael Jackson, so yes, I could listen to Thriller and that. And also, we watched Jurassic Park and Cameron 4. Well, we all know what he was up to,
right?
So it's like I can do it, but I think it's when there's such a prominent role, and it's very hard to divorce yourself from them when they're like one of the main characters. I'm just making sure. Whoa.
Oh, you broke my brain for like 30 seconds. Like, wait, I thought he was drawing. I thought he was drawing Walt, and then there was Wesley on screen.
Yeah, I'm using Wesley's body because I wanted Walt to be stood there with his hands in his pockets. So I was just like, I'll just use Wesley's body because I'm just trying to get the stance right. I do a lot of recycling of stuff because why not? It's just got to serve a purpose. He's just got to be stood there. So whereas Faye is like a whole. I redrew her completely from scratch.
I mean, there's 3D. There are image dolls you can buy. And I'm not saying you should buy it, but it's the same exact practice that you're doing.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day. Someone had linked to it on Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter, just to say. I clicked on it. It was just a link to Twitter, and someone had posted up like images of Winnie the Pooh, or a video, sorry, of Winnie the Pooh and the Jungle Book from Disney, and the animation was recycled perfectly from one scene to another. So it's like even Disney did, like the big wigs back in the day, in their heyday, in their golden era, did it. They did that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah,
plagiarized their own work. But they used it's just the same animation. It's like exactly the same. I don't know if I can pull that up, but
I remember those videos of watching all those poor Korean people have to animate my favorite cartoons. And they would have the slide they just drew in one hand, pencil in the other, and they'd flip that shit back and forth. Don't need to be so hard on yourself, Jack.
No, I'm not hard on myself. I just say... Like,
artist.
Yeah. I mean, let's just put it this way. Like, I drew that Wesley, so... It's like, I may be copying Wesley, but I'm copying something I've already drawn. It's still my drawing.
Have a good night, Massier. He's headed to bed.
Cheers, man. Yeah, I've been neglecting chat. Sorry, guys. Gary Pfeiffer says, someone ought to make Dino-Defenders Extreme a video game because of the room location settings. That'd be fun. I'd love to see it as like a 2D platformer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a point-and-click adventure mystery? Ooh. But I'm a slut for those kind of games. I love the weird things.
Yeah. Machier says, I really hate the 2003 Hulk movie. I don't know why. I don't know. It may be because I only watched it once. See, it's really interesting to watch it nowadays, given all the superhero movies that have come out. And bear in mind, this was before the MCU. This was like Marvel had just had a success with Spider-Man, and they were like, okay, what other properties have we got? And they just wanted to make those characters come to life on the big screen for the first time, and they'd just pass them to directors and be like, go on, do your thing. So like Sam Raimi would make his version of Spider-Man, Ang Lee would make his version of Hulk, and it's like they're not going to be exact to the comic books or anything, but there's less pressure because there wasn't any studio pressure to, like, you got to fit it into this big universe and all this sort of stuff. So you get some really interesting directorial decisions, and I think Hulk is the shining example of that because it's so weird and so disturbing in parts, but also like psychologically disturbing. There's a lot of shots of like just bacteria and things like that.
Flashback to slapping the wife.
Stabbing the wife, yeah.
Yeah. And
a kid dealing with it, and but then you cut from that to like the big green Hulk smashing around, and it's not like Aquaman where you cut from something really crazy to something stupid like they're shopping in a marketplace. It's not like that. It all plays to the story. Like, it all makes sense for what they're trying to tell.
I must say that you're 100% right that they were more experimental with the Hulk, and some of that lives on in a lot of the animated features I've seen come out, which I neglected to list as any of my favorites. I cannot recommend enough the animated adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. It's operatic in a way that I haven't seen Batman portrayed since Batman '89.
I've heard all the DC animated stuff's a lot better, so that's what I've heard along the grapevine.
On the whole, there are a few that swing for the fences and definitely miss the adaptation of The Killing Joke. Went a little fan fiction-y in parts because it's a very tight on one page of comic book does not translate to 1 minute of story, and there's a lot of visual stuff in that particular graphic novel or comic compilation, whatever the proper term is.
Yeah.
And again, it's very visual, very psychologically like slow,
right.
And they've got to unless they want to be really hardcore experimental, they've got to put in a little bit more dialogue, add a few more scenes to connect some things together. They even do it in The Dark Knight Returns because there's very little dialogue in that book, so they've got to actually
add filler.
Yeah, well, yeah. There. Speaking of Hulk, I believe it's just Wolverine versus Hulk. It's this incredibly efficient movie that in essence folds the origin story of the Hulk, Wolverine, and Deadpool all into one film.
Right.
It's an origin story for all three simultaneously. And I don't know how much money they'd make if they put that into live action, but it would be gold.
See, yeah, I don't know, because I don't know if superheroes. I see. Part of me just feels like they're on, not on their last legs, but there's only going to be so much they can do before people start to get bored. Surely, because that's what happened to westerns. That's what happened to war movies.
And with how expensive superhero movies are. However, well, I mean, we could talk about the established infrastructure of computing power for a specific purpose. Now they've built a machine that prints a certain type of movie, and they're going to keep making a certain type of movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be kids. That's the thing. That's how they get them. It's not the adults who grew up with this stuff who go and watch or who are interested. It's the new kids who it's their first superhero movie they're seeing and it's blowing their mind.
But I guess the question then becomes, what's the next big trend? Because I don't.
Oh, I can tell you exactly what it is. I know exactly what's coming. It's
don't leave me hanging.
I was just going to make some stupid joke, but I'll crack myself up thinking of other options. I was just going to pull out my ass like Barbie movies or something. But then I was like, no, Barbie movies isn't funny enough. And then I was like, think of something else, raccoon movies. It's like, it's going to be something really... You can't predict what's going to be popular. Part of me feels like superhero movies are really popular amongst... I mean, bear in mind, right, the culture around comic books has been around for many years, but it's never been a part of the mainstream culture as much as it is today because of the things like Marvel. You know, I've got family members who I bet a few years ago wouldn't even be talking about comic books or whatever. They wouldn't even care, but they love watching Guardians of the Galaxy and they love how that connects to Ant-Man and all this sort of stuff. So it's like, okay, so my aunt and my uncle know who Ant-Man is, when 5 years ago they wouldn't, unless they knew the comic books. Like if they were comic book fans, and obviously comic book fans are out there. But the reason I feel like this has resonated with, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I'm willing to have the thought experiment and hear your thoughts on it. But like the reason I feel like superheroes are really resonating with people is because people want to feel like they are unique, and this has come about and has been blown up exponentially because of social media. Because superhero movies became super popular when social media became super popular, because everyone started to realize they have all these connecting interests to each other, and they started to feel like they weren't as unique as they probably have always thought themselves to be, and then
it becomes a community exercise and an in-group. Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that before.
That's my prediction. It's like that, and it's not like people necessarily know that's the case. I'm saying it's like it's on like a subconscious level, like it's deep. It's deep that you want to be unique, so of course you're going to be drawn to go watch superhero movies. That were like, and I'm saying you as in the majority of people, like the majority of culture. Why that resonates with people, and that's why then you know, and people will agree with me on this who don't like films like Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. But that's why like Owen Grady as a character, he's a little bit more cut from the cloth of Indiana Jones, like a superhero-esque character than any of the other characters that have come previously, is because that resonates with audiences more nowadays than paleontologist, scientist.
If you go back to that era, though, like it wasn't. They were really cut from the exact same cloth. Like you couldn't draw a hard distinction between Batman and Indiana Jones in 1940. They could have interacted with each other.
Exactly. By the way, I just want to add a thank you to Big Shark for the $2 tip. I know you gave that to me ages ago. I just forgot to mention it. So thank you. I just wanted to say I've not forgotten. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot. But yeah, that's my theory on why superhero movies are really popular with mainstream. It's not just because the movies are fun. Of course, that's going to play a major part in it. The movies are fun. They're tailor-made to capture the hearts of the culture by referencing the culture a lot of the time. But it is the deeper layer that I think resonates with people. Like they want to feel like a superhero.
Building on that, I wonder if I want to choose my words very carefully. Attention to representation in this new media has become so hot and so divisive because of how superhero films are a reflection. They're an ego trip and a power fantasy and kind of an agency fantasy in a way, because it's about people making a big difference in their immediate world around them.
Yep.
In an age where that's becoming less and less possible.
Yep. Yeah. It definitely sounds like that would play a part. I mean, I think, isn't there the film... Oh, there's a superhero film trilogy that I actually kind of enjoy. It was Unbreakable and Glass and Split. Like that, I actually kind of enjoyed that trilogy of movies, except for the very, very, very ending, which I thought sucked ass. But that trilogy of superhero movies I thought worked really well. And I believe there's a line by Samuel L. Jackson's character in Unbreakable that speaks to this. There's a line by he's talking about superheroes and why they're good, or why they're why he likes them. And it's like, and I think he talks about it as in like, you know, you want to be, they're gods or something, but this, that, and the other in people's eyes, and that's why they like them and all that. I think I might be butchering that terribly, but I swear there's something like that in there. And whenever I heard that, that's what made me start on this thought train years ago. I was like, that's probably why they're really popular.
I can't help you with that memory because I didn't see Glass. And I only vaguely remember what I saw in Unbreakable.
Oh, you should go back and watch them, man. They're really good. It's just the last 5 minutes of Glass just is awful, in my opinion.
That's a ringing endorsement if I ever heard one.
Yeah, it's worth seeing for those last 5 minutes as well, because you're like, okay, but it's no. But as a trilogy of superhero movies, that's one of my favourites of the recent ones, because it's just so vastly different to everything else that was coming out. And not just because of that, like not just because it's different, but it told the superhero genre in a different way. Like I didn't want to be the superheroes in those movies. That was what rang with me. I was like, I don't want to be these characters. This sounds like hell. But at the same time, they were compelling characters to follow.
You've got me reeling and wondering if I'm a vapid egotist, because I've been such a fan of superhero movies for such a long time.
The thing is, I always do that to myself when I think about dinosaur and monster movies. Why am I drawn to monster movies? Like I guess it's because that's me trying to deal with the world, because it's like the world is kind of like, well, I mean, the world, Mother Nature operates in the world, but the world itself, the human world, everything is like dealing with an unknown monster. It's like you got to try and grapple with it. So that's why I feel like I am drawn to these types of stories, because I'm like, okay, I've got to deal with the real world because I don't control it, and that's an ego trip. It's like, okay, I don't control the real world, so I've got to deal with it, and it's out of control, and it's full of chaos and order battling. Well, that's one way of putting it, but like it's not necessarily consciously. I didn't mean that, but like, yeah, chaos and order are like always trying to influx. So it's like trying to find that balance. That's why I'm drawn to stories like Jurassic Park and Alien and The Thing. Anything like H.P. Lovecraftian, like something coming into our world that's like destabilizes its norms.
Well, you see, chaos is feminine, whereas order is actually a masculine identification.
You need to sound a little bit more Kermit, and then I would have definitely got the Jordan Peterson reference there.
Harrison McCarthy, Breakable is one of the best films ever made. I can see that. I have much more fond memories of Signs, and Signs kind of overrides all of the other movies.
I haven't seen Signs in so long. I remember, my M. Night Shyamalan, I'm a bit of a dark horse when it comes to my love of M. Night Shyamalan films, because I'm a person who likes Lady in the Water. So I'm like, I know a lot of people don't like that movie, and that's a superhero movie. I'm like,
I like most of Lady in the Water. The problem is that movie really puts me to sleep just because of how dark and rainy and cozy it is, and I don't know if that's what they were going for. It kind of is.
No, yeah, I completely get it. I've never described it like that, but I'm in total agreement with you there.
Big Shark, I have seen Unbreakable, but it's been a dog's age since I've really given it a proper watch. And I've seen a couple clips.
What is that trilogy altogether? I think he really did a good job. And it's like the superhero trilogy that obviously everyone talks about how good like Split is, and Unbreakable, and Glass is the weaker of the three, but it's good for the most part. I just never hear anyone talk about it as a superhero trilogy, but that's what it is.
I love The Happening.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, I need to watch it. It's on HBO Max, so maybe I can.
There are so many memes. It's I can't even sell you on the movie. It's standalone.
I'm just trying to work out.
David the Master. I couldn't name a David Fincher film if you put a gun to my head. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite David Fincher film. It's probably Alien 3.
Oh no, that is Alien 3, isn't it?
Oh wait, were you being serious when you couldn't name a David Fincher film?
Kinda.
So you got Alien 3, 7.
Is Alien 3 a David Fincher film though? Is even the assembly cut a David Fincher film?
No, that's kind of the running joke. But he was buying the camera, he shot it. I don't care if he didn't edit it. It's his movie. So, Alien 3, 7, Fight Club, Social Network.
Oh, Fight Club was him? Oh, yeah, I love Fight Club. Fight Club's great.
Fight Club, Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network. He also did a film with Michael Douglas called The Game, which is a really good movie. And Sorry You All Just Lost Then. I can't remember.
Nah, you mentioned that, and I hear Triple H's theme blare up.
Yeah. Oh, well, what else did David Fincher do? Panic Room.
Panic Room wasn't bad.
Yeah. But yeah, Fight Club is what he's known mostly for. He also produced House of Cards with Kevin Spacey, which is another... Because Kevin Spacey was one of his main actors. He was in a lot of his stuff.
I disliked that show before Kevin Spacey turned out to be a sex pest.
I was really into season 1, and then season 2, I was like, okay, it's losing me. And then we got to season 3, and I was like, okay, I don't really care about this anymore. And then it all came out, and I was like, okay, good.
It killed me just because I love The West Wing, and it was such a cynical reinterpretation of The West Wing.
But it was a remake of a British show. People don't. The House of Cards.
Another one.
House of Cards is a British show, and it had 3 seasons, and it was about the UK Parliament. Like it's a quasi it's a I don't know how close it is as a remake, but I know that it's like, you know, House of Cards was a British show, and then they took that and made that one. But this was like decades old, the British version. I think it's from like the 80s maybe.
That explains why I didn't like it. I didn't care for The Office either.
What, the American Office?
Either.
Yeah, I like the first Office when it came out, but yeah, no.
Spaced is what The Office should have been.
Spaced. with
That's
Simon Pegg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but just back to what were we talking about? The superhero movies. What was
We've
I
covered
saying?
the best. Which superhero movie just beyond Aquaman, because it seems
That's
like
the fresh in my
you had
mind.
a pretty. Were there any that you just really despised? Like you walked away or couldn't finish?
I
I'll
could
lead
not.
off.
Well, let's just say
I couldn't finish Suicide Squad. That's
I
how
haven't
much
even.
I hated that.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it. I wanted to walk out of the cinema, but I didn't have anything else to do because this is when I lived in London. I wanted to walk out the cinema during The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Just because I thought, I was just like, this is so boring because I've just seen this film like a million times. It's like it's just doing absolutely nothing new. And but Captain Marvel was one that it wasn't that I hated it or anything. It was more just I just was not interested in anything they were bringing to the table. I was like, this is just so boring and crap. It's like, this is the only interesting part was one gag in the movie, and it made me go rather than laugh. It was like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm moving on.
I have no opinion on Captain Marvel. Brie Larson is an amazing and stunning actress.
Yeah, don't get this channel deleted, Brie. I know you've I like Kong Skull Island, Brie. There you go.
Oh yeah, I forget that she's in that. She kicks ass in that movie.
Yeah, she's good. She's not like anything great in that movie. She's better than Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston's character is so boring in that movie. But aside from those two, everyone else
he isn't boring in.
Loki. Loki's not boring. He's interesting as Loki.
Nah, I don't buy it.
You don't find Loki interesting?
I don't feel that magic. I felt most magical when I saw him getting smashed into the concrete.
That's it, right? You want to see him get smashed in.
That was his arc for me. I was done with him after that. Put him away.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with that for the most part. Like, he didn't really do much after that.
Cards on the table. Part of my distaste for Thor is that the band Amon Amarth has hyped up Nordic mythology for me to a level that those movies will never, ever get to. Like,
I've never heard
I'm
of this
more
band,
interested in. I'm way more interested in Loped than Loki.
Okay, I think we've nearly got Walt done, by the way.
The other popular one that popped up was Buzz.
Okay, I'll do Buzz next.
My homie. Wow, Big Shark picking the dark horse. You like Thor 2. Wow.
Thor 2 was just a non-movie. It wasn't that it was bad. It was just nothing really to say about it. It was just a bit of a blank movie.
I feel like you could pull the important parts out of Thor 2 and put them at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I didn't enjoy Thor Ragnarok. I might be the only person I know who didn't enjoy that movie.
I like parts of it, but there's part of me that just wants to be contrarian about that movie.
I nitpick it more, but the nitpicks I feel like are justified. Like, there's a scene where the main woman villain is walking towards them on the Rainbow Bridge in slow motion. Bear in mind, I've only seen this film once at cinemas, so it's my memory here. She's walking towards them in slow motion, she's trying to kill them, and Hulk and Thor, I think it's Hulk and Thor, or someone, are having this whole conversation while this is happening, and I didn't know if it was a gag or if it was an actual genuine mistake. I couldn't read it, and I was like, this is taking me out. This is meant to be like the big fight. The stakes aren't here. She's walking towards him, but it's like it reminded me of Austin Powers when like the guy's like going stop, and like he's on the steamroller slowly coming towards him. It's like stop, like it's like she's coming towards you at insanely slow speed. Move out of the way. Do something.
That's Taika Waititi, correct?
Yes.
I loved What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes, I enjoyed that as well. Yeah, really good movie.
And everything I've seen of the show, of like the 3 episodes I've seen, I really liked as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that Thor Ragnarok was just a little too popular. I don't know. I go out of my way to actively dislike that movie just a little bit. Keep myself centered.
Yeah, I don't hate a movie. Like, I'm not saying you're necessarily saying this, but like, I don't hate a movie if it's popular. But I just didn't get what people were getting from Ragnarok. There was moments where I was like, okay, this is fun, but I think my fatigue had already kicked in at that point, so I just was like, this isn't my cup of tea. I've lost it. There's something about superhero. Maybe I don't know. I feel like I've got what I needed out of superhero movies for me. It's going to be very surprising to watch something and go, whoa, this superhero movie just blew me off my chair and was like really good, and oh my god, it's part of the Marvel universe, or oh my god, it's a DC movie. It's like, I feel like I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Anymore, the ones that stand out to me are the ones that really try at something different. Doctor Strange, I
enjoyed Doctor Strange for the most part.
The ending really clinches it because it's such a brilliant rework of the space laser destroy everything trope.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And he's watchable. Benedict Cumberbatch is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther. Black Panther was good. I
didn't enjoy it.
Really?
Yeah, so that was one of the ones where I was watching Black Panther and I was like, okay, I understand its cultural significance for people, but I think this movie is bad. Like, this is just a badly made movie.
It's Killmonger, man. Like, that's kind of why I also liked Aquaman, is that if they've got a really good standout bad guy, I'll give it a little bit more credit. And I got that feeling from honestly, Black Manta is a pale imitation of Killmonger, who knocks it out of the fucking park. In that, I will watch that. I can hang that whole movie just on the Killmonger arc alone because I love it so much.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like a villain can change a whole movie from being bad to good, or even like quasi bad to good. If the villain's interesting enough, it can really pick up a movie. But I didn't get that from Killmonger.
I've got to be. It's because I'm a Batman fan, and in most Batman media, the most interesting characters are the villains. Because Batman's kind of like, you get it.
Yeah, he's just a bit of an empty vessel for the most part.
He's the lens through which to view all these other problems, or the pillar upon which the rest of that world stands. Yeah, I like the movies that try something different, and even Thor Ragnarok.
I'll give it credit for trying to do something different, definitely.
Even though the different that they did was already kind of done by Guardians of the Galaxy, that's really what Thor needed. Unless you want to go really hard on the Norse mythology, which I would appreciate. Like, I'd love to see like a non-visual clusterfuck of an actual Ragnarok. Like, at least what I've hyped up in my head to be Ragnarok. And that's kind of the thing. Like, all these movies have got to fight against everyone's personal interpretation of all these characters.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to use John for Buzz. Just because I need to get this shape right. Yeah, where do you see it all going then? Like superhero movies, do you see it lasting? Do you see the fad? I say fad, but do you see it dying off? Like when I say die off, no movies fully die off, because obviously when I say like war movies were really popular, but you know, back in the day they were like what superhero films are now. However, they're not as big as they were, but they are still making war movies. So it's like superhero movies are never going to stop being made, but at the same time,
right?
So I mean, like, but how do you see it going?
That's a very good question, and I would venture to say that simply because they have the benefit of being around in the modern era, they're going to have more staying power because the formula is a little more fresh. And here's the thing, like, I keep looking for something else, a different like storytelling hook to overtake superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't really pinpoint one down. So I see a gradual leveling off of popularity, but I don't see what's around the bend beyond that. And part of that has to do with the shape of media to come, because we're facing an era where the theater has to change.
It's not only the theatre, but I think also the mindset of Hollywood. Because I kind of feel like Hollywood is almost its own worst enemy at this point, and it doesn't even know it.
One thing that gives me hope is that at least stateside, there are little, not satellite Hollywoods, I guess little other towns have taken to lending themselves to that industry.
Mm-hmm.
I believe chief among which would be Georgia. Georgia is a huge production house now that honestly like could be compared to LA or New York. Archer is made out of there, for crying out loud.
Well, the animated series.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there are a number of different. I'll have to look it up because I see that logo made in Georgia and the big peach shines up.
Right, okay, yeah.
And it's all Tyler Perry has built a lot of his production studio in the area, and even though he doesn't get the same sort of wide release, his pull in, I'm just going to say it, the black community cannot be understated. Like he is an industry unto himself, and he was one of the Tyler Perry house of movie making was one of the first COVID compliant production houses that got the green lit for making new movies. Before COVID, like I know Ohio opened up its laws because there was a lot of the first Avengers film that got filmed in downtown Cleveland, and I think parts of Cincinnati. So other areas are in on the game, and I'm kind of hoping like some of that influence spreads out.
Yeah, because it's like you want, I mean like more the Hollywood mindset as well, not necessarily just the location. Like it's like the way they're conducting their filmmaking seems to be alienating a lot of people, or turning people into cynics about the industry, which is fully understandable. And so like I can see, my prediction is I can see like different ideological film studios popping up that become competitive because they start telling stories that Hollywood's too afraid to tell. But that's just, I don't know. I don't know what you think about that.
They might, but part of why I brought up regionality is only to reflect that as far as distribution goes, the internet has cut a lot of cords, and I'm certain if I got a bunch of friends together and I made a competent enough pilot and emailed it to the right executive at Netflix would greenlight it. Because that's more or less everything I hear. Not that I have the will or gumption to enter into any sort of binding contract with that company.
Yeah.
But the distribution platforms are, well, looking at HBO Max, you can tell it's trying to compete with Disney Plus.
Which unfortunately they had, like I saw on there, they've got all the Alien movies, and it all says they're now on a limited run because clearly Disney are now going to start putting it on their Star platform or whatever they've launched.
Netflix, I think, got enough money in under the wire before all of the other companies got smart and have established enough of their own financial backing to be a solvent studio at this point. Honestly, now that I think about it, distribution is going to be kind of the deciding factor for a lot of that stuff, and online revenue, which we don't have a clear picture on. We truly don't.
No, because like their numbers are more hidden, really. Wasn't Netflix like caught screwing numbers around or something at one point? I read.
I think so, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's one of the things that led to Disney like pulling all their shit and start, because they're not dumb. They're not dumb over there working for the mouse. They must have seen this, be like, how do we make this our own? How do we buy this company, or how do we build one?
Yeah. And it just so happened that it was launched at the beginning of a global pandemic. It's like, yeah.
I mean, bully for them. Like they're raking in the fucking money, man.
Yeah, I know. Scary.
And well, I mean, we can see that HBO and Warner Brothers have the confidence to release their next big set of tentpole movies with the properties that they have left on HBO, concurrent with whatever theaters happen to be open, which is it's dice roll on that.
Yeah.
I'll say this. One of the great things is that I've got the great fortune of having 3 drive-ins within driving distance of where I live, and all of them were booming this past summer because drive-ins are COVID compliant, and I do love me a drive-in movie.
I've never been to a drive-in, so I'll have to take your word for it, because the UK doesn't. They have them in they're like a really niche, like a niche thing.
Josh Putman, politics and diversity are killing Hollywood. That is an incisive take, and I have no further comment on that.
I would agree with the first part. The diversity part is, it's actually the lack of diversity that's killing Hollywood, because the irony is that they don't want to tell stories from different perspectives, so it's a lack of diversity. Diversity of thought is what they're lacking, is what I would argue. You know, they're pandering too much to one side of the ideological aisle, and they're not thinking, oh, hang on a second, well, if we all think the same and we're all making movies to pander to that, then that's not very diverse. You want to hear the stories that you usually don't want to hear, because it'll say something that you might need to hear. That's the thing. That's just my take. I could be wrong, but yeah. But yeah, like politics, yeah, it's driving people up the wall when it comes to Hollywood. Like, for me personally, I didn't appreciate like the Trump jokes that were in Fallen Kingdom. Not because I like want to say that I'm a huge fan of Trump or anything. It's just that for the Jurassic series, they've never really done that. So it took me out of the movie.
As well as blowjob Clinton jokes.
Yes, exactly. It dates it so much, so it's like, okay, I didn't appreciate it from that level. But also, it was kind of funny though. One thing I did appreciate is that so they had the BBC News ticker say, the US president is questioning the existence of dinosaurs. Now you can read that one or two ways. You can read that as the Trump joke, which it was, because Colin Trevorrow admitted it in an interview. Or you can look at it as in like he's questioning the existence of the dinosaurs, as in the dinosaurs that, like, why did we start cloning these things to begin with, kind of thing. That said, it also, and this is how I take it, reads like fake news from the BBC, which reads like something that they would actually put in real life. So it's actually quite realistic, because they weren't in favour of Trump. And
you don't say.
I know. And it was quite funny because, like, now I'm like, okay, that's funny because that's like more real than anything else in the movie. Why can't I get Buzz's hand right? Why am I trying to get this hand right?
When there are a handful of examples of like pulling a politic or two into a movie or commenting on if the president is out of office by X number of years, I think they kind of become public license, because Nixon is at this point kind of a trope.
Yeah, I mean, like, just like a Futurama.
I don't mind when a movie pulls a Nixon trope at this point, mm-hmm. just as like a point of comparison. It really depends on how subtle it is, and
I might need to take a picture of my hand. Sorry, I need to take a picture of my hand because I'm bloody.
I've been watching you struggle with it for a minute.
It's an angle. It's a really weird angle for the hand, and I'm trying to get this right. So I'm just going to trace over my own hand. Just trying to
as far as diversity goes, like, I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, Saturday morning cartoon era, and I couldn't point to a golden age of diversity better than that.
Mm-hmm. But that's also diversity of thought as well. That was the thing. They weren't afraid to have a mix of opinions from characters, even the ones that you're meant to be rooting for.
Where is my Static Shock movie? I love that dude. I love it. And he just slid so perfectly into the DCEU. And I know someone made a fan film, and I caught a part of it. And it still rings true. It's still compelling, and it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah. I haven't seen Static Shock, so I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
It was just a good, well put together Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, it was a Saturday morning cartoon. Right, where is this image? Sorry, bear with me.
Beast Wars, if you want to get into it, was all about like diversity and accepting other people and other cultures into your own, and finding non-combative. Well, I mean, there was tons of combat. It was a Transformers property, but big changes happened with characters in that story.
Right, you have to excuse my lame ass picture. Cut my hand out. Sick and tired of drawing this bloody hand on Buzz. I'll literally just trace over my hand because it's the only way I can think to get it to look good. It's a specific, like, I'm trying to do the Ripley sitting in her cabin in Aliens smoking a cigarette kind of look. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
because these two have both lost people they are close to. So it's like they need to have that expression on their face. Jeff says, "Oi, when's it gonna come out?" You talk about episode 4? It comes out when it's finished, man. It comes out when it's bloody finished.
Patience is a virtue, motherfucker.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right. Yeah, no, it will be released once I'm done. It's as simple as that, because it's, hey, I've got a lot going on at home, so my home life. So it's
I hesitate to comment further on diversity on screen, if only because I've never not felt that, and I take someone at their word when they say they appreciate seeing someone like themselves on screen. Forcing it, you can tell when it's forced, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, is there ideas that I think you can relate to? Like, I've related to so many characters who don't look like me. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's the ideas of the characters more than their look. But if someone's purely just going for, I want to see someone who looks like me, then I'm like, okay, fair enough. I don't do that myself, but if that's what someone wants to do, then live and let live, I guess. Just
I identified with Kelly in a big bad way as a parent of divorcees with an absent mother and a father working a little bit harder than he should.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, you can relate to characters even if they don't look like you. I just feel like that there's this idea that, like, they need to do that because why? Because it's like this, I don't know. But I did see those reactions, right, of like when Black Panther was being released, like the reactions from like this, all these black kids in school finding out they're going to watch it, and the classroom just erupts into just like madness. And on one hand, that was beautiful to see. At the same time, my cynical brain went, are they more excited about the fact that they're going to go watch a load of black superheroes, or are they more excited the fact that they got the day off school to go watch to go to the cinema rather than learn something in the classroom?
There
Part of me is inclined to think of the latter, really, because that's what I would be doing. Like, yay, woo! Yeah. But I could be completely wrong about that.
I do think there's a very specific void of black cinema, and that is African history. And I know that learning more African history has only whetted my appetite for it. And I'm going to give credit to Age of Empires for kicking open the door. Not to say that what they did is in any way historically accurate, but they released an expansion of a bunch of African kingdoms I had never heard of. Actually, like, looking at a map and seeing, wow, there's 55, 60 distinct countries, whereas the schooling I was taught was Africa.
Yeah, exactly. One country. It's all Africa.
And then you learn a little bit more, and you're like, wow, the Portuguese are kind of dicks.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, the Africans were kind of dicks to themselves, like every other nation. Like, it's like there was some really horrible internal stuff, and still is to this day, going on in Africa.
Yeah, and that's...
It's not this, like, beautiful paradise. It's like, no, it's anything... Obviously, it has its beautiful cultures, and it has its environments that are absolutely gorgeous and all this sort of stuff. But there's some really sinister stuff going on there, and had been going on there. Like, because guess what? Like, this is the big secret. Everyone's a human. All countries basically are the same. in terms of the way they treat each other, like both internally and externally. It's that's the thing. You get shitty people in Africa, you got shitty people in America, you got shitty people in the UK. You've also got great people. It's just, it's like, I use this term loosely because I know like it has some more online usage, but it's like I always want to just say like normies unite, because like there's so many people in these countries who don't give a shit about any of the worries that other people will have about other countries or other cultures and that, who just go about their lives. Yeah, they just like, I don't care. I just want to make sure my family's okay. Is that fine? Can I do that? And it's like they're the people who I don't know. They're the ones you can go down the pub and have a drink with and just have fun.
There's so many stories to tell in that world, and I'm just rattling off like Africa and black centric movies in my head, and I come up with a very short list of like Hotel Rwanda,
Last King of Scotland.
I have not seen that one.
Okay, I'm see, this is the problem. I want to make sure that it's Africa because I don't want to be racist.
And I know of a number of African American stories.
Ugandan. It's about the Ugandan president. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and oh god, there are so many psychopaths in power in Africa, and that's what that whole Coney 2012 movement was about, and that failed. Oh man, if you're not familiar with that story, I cannot do it justice, and I will simply link a video for you in chat.
Okay. But anyway, like the point is, we were talking about like politics and diversity in ruining Hollywood. It's like yes and no is the answer to that question. Yes in some aspects, no in others. Also, the industry is going from flux, like a major flux at the moment, because of the internet and streaming services and coronavirus and things like Disney buying up Fox. It's like there's a lot changing, but so it's hard to determine what's exactly around the corner. I'm really cynical about it because I'm like, I think it's just because I'm older and being a father, I'm like, my whole priorities in life have shifted greatly, and for the better, in my opinion, for me personally. But I'm like, I like movies. Movies don't really ring the same as they used to with me, but they ring in a different way now. And so when I watch something like Aquaman, I'm laughing my head off because I'm having such a great time watching it. But it's not for the reasons that the filmmakers would like. But at the same time, if I'd have watched that film when I was 14, completely different story. I'd probably been like, this is awesome. This is great.
Great way to bring it back to Aquaman. That was a dark road we got on.
Yeah. That was a good road. Good poignant discussion.
To be clear, more African movies. I love being good.
They probably do make African movies in Africa, but the only ones I know of, there's like
Who Killed Captain Alex?
I don't know what that is, but I know there's like this meme of movies that are made, I believe, in Africa that are like really bad, but they're so bad they're amazing.
That's Who Killed Captain Alex.
Okay, so it might be that, yeah. Legendary,
which is amazing.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched it, but I've seen clips. That's the one. Yeah, I didn't know its title, but
find a way to buy that movie and give those good people who made that film money.
Okay, I will do. I need to find
not
a
you
shot.
in particular.
Bear with me. Sorry, I'm just seeing if I can find a shot of Buzz's shoes. He has those black shoes, doesn't he, with the free stripes. I'm just trying to find a picture of them because.
Oh, he is rocking the Adidas.
The Adidas knockoffs. Legendary asks, or says, important thing is, are theatres and cinemas going to survive after the pandemic is over? Yes. Of course they will. Do you know how packed cinemas are going to be when they go, yeah, you can all go back? It's like a crowded event. People are gagging for that sort of stuff.
I do hope to see a rise in more Alamo Drafthouse style theater cinemas. Ones where it's the seats are fairly far apart. You can drink beer. If you make any noise, they will pull you out.
Yeah, I mean, they have retrofitted some cinemas like that in the UK, which I appreciate. Unfortunately, I was watching Rise of Skywalker in one, so I was like, okay, this is the most relaxed I've ever been in the cinema, but shame the film is absolute shite. Wait, did I just... bloody... Sorry.
I still haven't gotten around to seeing that damn movie.
Dude,
it'll break my heart.
Oh god, it's so funny. It's almost similar to an Aquaman, but worse because it's like even more stupid.
They gave up on Finn, and I loved Finn.
They gave up on Finn 5 minutes after they created him as a character.
I know, and like
it's such
that concept. That concept rang with me because I was such a big Kevin Smith fan, and he was the janitor on the Death Star. That character was a Kevin Smith reference, and they just let him die on the vine.
Yeah, it's like, I know people have said this before, but like the whole thing, like where he's brainwashed into being in the Empire, and then he's 5 seconds later, after he escapes or he gets jaded out of his first mission or whatever it is, he's like shocked by what he's seeing or what he's being asked to do, and then 5 seconds later he's shooting other stormtroopers going woo like this. Like, is there no hesitation? Did they not just want to like do one shot of him like hesitating, and then the guy's like, take the shot or we're gonna get killed or something, and he's like, but I know these guys. He's like, just take the shot. And then, explosion off the bow or whatever of the type, whatever they're escaping in, and then he fires, and then you've got this emotional moment where he's like, like screaming, shooting, and you can see tears going down his eyes.
To be fair, Leia does take the destruction of her home planet fairly well, and so does Luke with his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. He's like, okay, fine. Let's just leave with the homeless guy who's been stalking me my whole life.
But that makes sense because he has no other option. And he wasn't whooping while doing it. He was like, whoa! Like, as he was doing it. It was a somber decision.
Yeah, fuck this moisture farm.
Yeah, he didn't say that, yeah. Whereas Finn, like, that's how it felt to me. But it's like... That's what I didn't like. I was like, as soon as I heard that they were going to do the stormtrooper who realizes, like, they're going to make a stormtrooper a character, I was like, this is a great idea. Like, this sounds like something I would want, like, I'd come up with, like, for myself. I was like, oh, pitch a Star Wars film. Oh, I'll do it from the perspective of a stormtrooper who's, that sounds like something I would want to do.
I know,
but they just left it. They just left it, and they never went back to it, and it's just garbage.
Same with Rose Tico. They made that character and gave up on her.
Yeah, what was her character again?
Her sister died, and I'd have bought it. I absolutely would have bought it.
But what was her... What did she do? I can't remember.
She saves Finn at the end from the horizontal...
No, I know that, but what was her job?
Technician? Her sister was a fighter pilot, and she was a repair person, right?
I guess, yeah. Oh, yes, I remember. Because I haven't really watched The Last Jedi much, so...
Knowing that information doesn't add anything to her, though.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
I just wanted to know where she come from, because we were talking about Finn, and he was the stormtrooper, and I didn't know if she had some sort of weird thing that was interesting. But I guess it's the dynamic of the sister.
They gave that moment to her and Rey in the movie before that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
And that just comes down to directors not communicating with each other.
But you should definitely check out Rise of Skywalker.
I've seen the parts I need to see.
Have you seen the
I've seen the body. I
like
don't
an
need
autopsy.
I don't need to pour over it.
Have you? Do you know the spoilers?
I watched the last 15 minutes.
So you know that the Empire doesn't know how to go up in their ships.
Yeah.
They don't know how to fly up from a planet in spaceships.
Not unless someone's using the Force on it.
Yeah, well, one antenna on the ground.
And that hurts me as well, because I was hurt when Disney expelled the whole book canon extended universe, because I was all in on the Yuzhang Vong War and the Shadows of the Empire stuff, even though it got cringy. But that was a concept I felt was much better executed. Of the Emperor still lives, but it was still Luke's job to finish him off. So it made more sense with those characters. And there's no Mara Jade.
I don't know. I never did anything or read anything outside of the Star Wars movies except the Clone Wars cartoon by Gender Tartakovsky, or however you pronounce his last name. Like, that was the only thing I ever watched outside of the movies. I haven't seen the Ewok movies. I haven't seen the Star Wars Christmas specials.
Rebels is good. I'll defend. It's competent. It's not extraordinary, but it can wear the Star Wars name proudly.
Yeah, I'll have to take your word on it. But it's like the just the Emperor being alive. I just feel like this just completely undoes the importance of what Luke and Vader went through in Return of the Jedi. Like, the way they finished that story arc off, I just feel like it completely undercuts it if suddenly, boom, he's been alive still. And I don't see any way of that actually being good. Or like, not well, it could be executed well, but at the same time, it's like, but is it justified? Like, is it actually worth? Not even it's worth. Like, can it preserve what was told before? And I just don't see that happening, no matter how well constructed a story that tells the Emperor's still alive. I just don't see it.
In that arc with Luke, they play him like a lingering phantom, and sort of like the evil version of a forced ghost, and that he's just this bad energy they can't expel. And he does have a cloning facility, but that's not the important part, because Leia is pregnant and he is threatening to overtake
with
unborn child.
So it's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5.
A little bit. It's a bit more psychological and fucked up. And Luke, if I remember the arc correctly, Luke at one point becomes the heir to the title Darth Vader in order to manipulate the Emperor into trusting him that he has truly embraced the dark side. And
that's weird.
It's this really I'm giving it the benefit of my memories, and it I remember it being a really interesting conclusion to that arc, because it's all just a setup for the invasion of the Vong.
Right. What's that?
The galaxy far, far away gets invaded by another galaxy even further.
Is that why they're building Death Stars? Because I heard that they were building Death Stars to protect the galaxy from an outside threat, but the problem is Grand Moff Tarkin wanted it to destroy planets. I don't know if that's just fake news I've heard.
I don't know that it's ever said explicitly like that, but it's certainly implied, because the Vong are like this wound in the Force, and they are the catch is that these aliens are totally immune to the Force. They cannot be sensed, they cannot be influenced. You could throw shit at them, and they've got their own version of lightsabers, and they're just this anti-Force monstrosity that play a little bit like Alien, because they're all biotech and even their ships are alive.
See, that's more interesting. Like, not that Emperor side of things. I still think that doesn't work, but at the same time, that is more interesting than anything Disney did. Anything Disney's done, it's like they just fall back on. Hey, you remember X-wings? You remember TIE fighters? You remember Luke and Han and Leia, right? That's what you want.
Which is such a shock considering altogether how well they handle the Marvel movies. Even if they're not standout, they're far more competent than what they put out with Star Wars.
Yeah, you think they would have handled that one with a little bit more care because of the cultural significance that Star Wars has. Like, Star Wars seems to enthrall everyone. It's like, for someone like me who's sort of like a little bit on the outside of it, I know too much about Star Wars than I like to know. Like, I know too much about it, like, and I don't follow it. Like, I know names of characters. I'm like, why do I know that character's name? And so it's just because everyone talks about it all the time. So it's really hard to. It's not like I want to actively avoid it or anything. It's just I'm not interested in it as much as I used to be. Back when I was younger, and I don't know, it's like the superhero thing again. It's like, I know a lot about superheroes, but I kind of wish I freed up that space in my mind for something else. Like something a little bit more interesting for me.
I'm trying to overwrite all my Star Wars knowledge with World War II knowledge, but it hasn't proved any more socially useful.
That's, yeah.
I want to ask you a philosophical question, Jack.
Do it. Let's get off Star Wars and go to philosophical.
I'm going to hand you the magic editing sword.
Mm-hmm.
With this sword, if you could divorce Alien from Predator permanently, that the two have nothing to do with each other ever going forward, would you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I think as fun as it is to think of those two together battling, I think those two film franchises are actually fundamentally different. And well, in one way, Alien is the feminine and Predator is the masculine. So if you're gonna mash those two together, it gets very, I don't know, weird for me.
Is that why David is so androgynous?
Yes. It's also like Alien's all about the fear of birth, and in order to get like male audiences to understand that's why they can impregnate men and women. With the idea of rape and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Predator is very masculine. You're taking on something that's, you need raw power. You need to get covered in mud and go rah and take it out like in the jungle and resort to being basically a caveman to take this thing out. But I feel like as movies and as franchises, it's like, I don't think it'll ever work outside of like maybe comic books. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh by going, no, don't put those two together ever, because I've got this magical sword. But hey, we don't live in that world. It's a fictional hypothetical. So I can say I would divorce them without any actual repercussions. So there you go.
I partly ask because I'm certain it's the discussion being had right now at Disney.
Of course they're having that discussion, and I think they're going to go for it. I think they're going to do it. I mean, they're gonna do it. I don't know how it's gonna fit into any canon. If it's gonna be its own thing. It's whatever makes the most money and whatever makes China happy. Is what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it, really. But, would you?
I would. If I knew on the other side we would get a better Predator for it, because I don't think Alien loses it. Predator gets the lion's share of world building from that marriage. And you can tell they don't know exactly how to fit it all together, given our past discussions on Predator works on very different mechanics on screen than Alien.
Yes.
It's a lot more personal. What's the best way to put this? If I knew that divorcing Alien from Predator would open doors to really like build a new world for Predator, I'd be all in.
Mm.
If not, if it's just going to be just kind of a retread of more of the same kind of sci-fi tropes, because I don't even know what direction you could go in with Predator, because it's kind of like a Jason. He's more akin to Jason Voorhees in that the more you flesh him out, the weaker he becomes. If you stat it, they will kill it.
Yeah, whereas a lot of people thought that about the Alien, but I would argue that is the opposite. Like, the Alien's more interesting when you find out more about it. Not because, you know, it's that Lovecraftian thing that people latch onto, of like, oh, it's interesting to not know anything about it. It's like this strange entity that came from somewhere out in space, and it's like, okay, that's fair, but at the same time, to explore the horror of something that's truly alien, they've gone with, we're seeing AI create what it thinks is the perfect organism, etc. We've already had this conversation, but I feel like we've seen an example of where they explain the alien's backstory, and I think it really works because they're basing it off the character of David, and that's where the story actually lies. It's not necessarily actually about the alien, it's about this android and us, and makes space claustrophobic. But with Predator, less is more.
Yeah.
Like, for sure, less is more with the Predator. Because if you know everything about the Predator, then you know how we can defeat it really easily. Whereas, I mean, by this point, Alien, you've had aliens, you know, we know guns can kill them really easily. So it's like...
That's why I really want someone like Ridley Scott, someone who's got a vision and is willing to put some bigger themes behind it, because I think you could fit a bigger theme about man's relationship with nature into Predator, but you got to handle it just the right way. And honestly, the best way to do it is to almost make the Predators a different kind of engineer, and that's more or less what they would become in lore in a best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, part of me feels like that they would have been engineered by the engineers if they were going to go that route.
Even if they were, they're still a tier above where we're at. Or even they could be an engineered organism by the engineers. That's a little redundant to say, but they just became hostile.
Yeah. Well, just to go back to your... I just want to mention this because you asked me the question, like, if you had the magic wand, would you separate them forever? I feel like I was a bit misguided by your questioning there, because then you turned around and said that's the conversation that Disney is having right now, or you imagine that's the conversation Disney's having right now. Had you have said, if you were Disney, would you stick them together, I would have said no. But I was under the impression that I was answering the questions, and would you just go back in time and then you'd never put them together? And I still said no. So now I'm like, hang on, what? Oh my god, I even surprised myself.
Well, I don't want to pigeonhole you. If you want to clarify, speaking as Disney.
Speaking of Disney, I think of course you put them together because that's the thing.
Dollar signs.
Yeah,
money,
exactly.
Money,
if you're Disney, that's what you're gonna do, and that's what I think they're gonna do. But yeah, if it was me and I worked at Disney and I was the head of Disney, I wouldn't put them together because I'd be like, no. I just think that is what they're gonna do. I wouldn't do it because I don't want to see that. Or maybe I would, and it would be that bloody Alien Predator film I'm always cooking up in my head, which is like they're on a space station. Marines get called to a space station, and then when they get there, there's this like they get like an emergency call to a space station. These Marines, and it's not like the Marines you see from Aliens. You know, you want that. You want to have that healthy blend of the group you saw in Predator and Aliens, but you also want them to be like their own unique characters, so audiences can fall in love with these new characters. So it's a balance of finding new charismatic characters. But the point is, the plot is that they arrive at this space station on an emergency call, and when they get there, there's this giant ship attached to the side of the space station that they don't recognize, which the audience would recognize as the Predator ship. And that wasn't in any of the descriptions of what they were going to be facing when they get there. They thought it was just a simple rescue mission. And so they go onto the ship, and then something happens to their ship. That means they can't get off. And then you've got the claustrophobic nature of the alien, because you've got these corridors and they're in space. So if anything goes wrong, they could get sucked into the vacuum. And then you've got the added bonus of pitting the Predator against the alien in an environment where the Predator really needs to be smart, because it can't do the same thing the humans are worrying about. Like, it can't use its plasma gun because it might blow a hole in the side of the thing. So it's like, how does the Predator cope with that? And the Predator obviously will hunt down the Marines as well, because it sees them as trophies. I'd have none of this Predator working with the human shit. Like that.
Yeah, none of that.
Like, we've been there, we've done that. I get it, but like, no, the Predator has to be good, and none of these Predators trying to siphon autistic blood for their own use.
God, what it.
And I love that's something I can actually say.
That does just kill that whole premise. And it's such a promising little premise too.
But I love I can say that with all seriousness, because it is a movie that does that. But yeah, if I had to do an Alien Predator movie, that's what I would do if I was Disney, and I'd be like, "There's your pitch, right there." But that would be a one-off movie.
Now, one alien or multiple aliens?
You'd have to do multiples. I'd do like two of. It'd be the AVP thing, because that's kind of, you do like maybe one or two Predators. Because you have to have one. You have to have at least show the alien's strength and the Predator's strength. But I wouldn't have any of these, like what happens in AVP, where like the bloody, it looks like people, well, because they are in suits, but like they're just wrestling about on the floor, and it just looks really bad. Like, you'd have to play to the strengths of the characters and lighting.
That would be a good opportunity to reuse the Alien 1 concept of a drone going into cocoon mode.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because that could be
like a mother-daughter dynamic.
What, between the Predators?
No, the aliens. That is just two.
Yes. Yeah, there's ways of doing it. Like, it just make it more interesting than, we're gonna just, I don't know, stick them in a small town in the US and have them fight. It's like, all right. Boring. Dawson's Creek versus Alien versus Predator. All right, I get you. It's like, that's what people want to see, is it?
If you're gonna put it on Earth, like mix Terminator in. Like, just do it.
Yeah, go the whole hog if you're gonna do it. But my other point is, it's like, my fond memory of Alien and Predator being together is Alien versus Predator, the video game on PC, and it has Marines in it as well, and it also has and you have Marines and Aliens, and you have the mercenaries in Predator. So you've got to have that be the human element. It's just, I just don't think anyone's ever going to make that. So that's why no, don't ever put them together again, because I just don't see anyone being that clever.
Can we diverge on a small side road here and talk about where that game excelled in making an alien panoply, whereas everything from Alien Fireteam just underwhelms me so far?
I've only seen one trailer from Alien Fireteam, so I just looked at it and was like, okay, I've seen all this kind of thing before. I'll probably check it out. If I get the chance to stream it, I'll stream it. But
talk about diversity. The alien diversity, everything that they've released is like Spitter and Runner, where that the Alien versus Predator shooter game had a lot more confidence in making different alien types.
But wait, was the Spitter in this trailer? Is the Spitter and the Runner separate?
Yeah, they're two different types.
But in Alien 3, the Runner is the one that spits.
And the Praetorian, they all.
I hate the Praetorian. Every time I've seen the Praetorian, I just hate that idea because it sounds like a 12-year-old came up with it. It's like, yeah, there's another one that's called a Praetorian. So, okay.
It's like a Roman legion.
Yeah, it's like don't care. It's not.
Godspeed, Big Shark. We'll take.
Yes, thank you very much, Big Shark, and also cheers for the tip again. Legendary asks, what about Freddy versus Jason? Is there any possibility that these two can ever kill each other just for us to see who won? I think the film's good as it is. Have I beefed up fucking Buzz's arms here? He looks a bit roided up. Need to make him less roided. He's not that. He's. Someone's going to call him a dope head in this episode. He doesn't hit the gym; he hits the bong.
He took Kevin's stash because Kevin was looking pretty cut.
Yeah.
You tell that guy worked in a factory for a while.
There you go. Yeah, crushed by the giant communications pole.
Unlike Alien and Predator, I do wish the thing about Freddy vs. Jason is that it's fun. And that if you're really a fan of those movies, they cram references and memorabilia in there thick. So it's a labor of love. And I kind of wish they do more of that. Like, I'd love to see, like, Chucky versus Puppet Master. And I know Puppet Master has been around. They've fought other franchises before.
Wouldn't Chucky be... See, I haven't really watched the Puppet Master film, so I'm like not too wise on that. I always want to see like Chucky versus Gremlins. Where's that?
Oh, that'd be good.
Right? But you could do it like Chucky is deliberately pouring water on them. Like he's deliberately making more of the gremlins, but then they turn on him and then he's like, oh god. You know, he has to sort them out. So like you flip the role, so then Chucky becomes kind of a savior. Like a weird
and then
savior.
one of them learns Chucky's voodoo magic.
Mm-hmm. And then you've got a gremlin. You can have oh my god, a Gizmo stuffed, a cute Gizmo stuffed toy that is evil because it's got a gremlin inside of it. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Boom. Come on, where's my check, Hollywood?
Now, how's this? Predators versus Tremors.
I'd be down, but again, I just worry that Tremors would just be like what it is now, rather than it actually being a good movie. But when we say this, we see the movie in our head, and it's like, oh god, I want to see that so badly. What was the one I always wanted to pitch? Oh, Home Alone versus Predator. I always pitch Home Alone versus Predator.
I bet you Macaulay Culkin would be down.
Because the idea of the Predator wanting to claim Kevin McAllister as a trophy, but he's got all these tricks like up his sleeve, and the Predator's like slipping on micro machines, and I don't know, it's just funny. And then I would want it to end with Kevin losing. So his mum comes home, he just finds him skinned in the attic. She's like, oh my god! And then the credits start rolling. You're like, oh my god. He's polishing Kevin's skull. Just like, zzz. It's like, oh my god.
With his one remaining arm. It's got to go hard.
Yeah,
There's got to be a showdown.
Yeah, there does, yeah. But no, in all seriousness, one that I actually think would work really well
Legendary, we got Cloverfield versus Godzilla. It was Godzilla 2016.
What, Shin Godzilla?
No, the first Legendary one. Was that 2014?
2014.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2014, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the monster is pretty much the Cloverfield monster in design. Oh, God, what was I going to say? There's one I've always thought you could pitch. Oh, Indiana Jones. You call it Indiana Jones Lost in Jumanji.
Oh, okay. I like what you're putting down there.
Because to me, not the new Jumanji. I'm not talking about like the video game Jumanji. I'm talking about Robin Williams' Jumanji, the board game.
I know.
So you could have it set in a time between, I don't know, call it the 40s, and because those kids bury the Jumanji board game at the beginning of Jumanji, so you'd have to pull it out of the ground there, but it has to end up there at the end of the movie because that's where what's his face uncovers it, and so, Alan Parrish uncovers it. But you'd have it so Indiana Jones, like for some reason he's playing Jumanji, like he gets a hold of it and he's playing it. Like I don't know what the circumstances are where he has to play a board game, but he gets sucked into the board game. So like he reads, in the jungle you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8, and he gets sucked in, and the whole film, right, is everyone's wet dream. He goes in there and there's like the jungle equivalent of Nazis, whatever they're going to be called, that obviously he has to battle. Obviously there's going to be snakes in there that he
that's how you get him to play. The Nazis hold him at gunpoint. We are going to play a game, Mr. Jones.
Yes, there you go. But they all get sucked in because there's like some rule that he gets, so they all get sucked in. They have to play a game, and one of the good, obviously he has a good guy with him, and then he has to enter this temple. Sort of, I'm gonna pitch this as halfway through the movie on his own, and he has to go through all these booby traps to get out of Jumanji. Like he knows the only way out of this board game is through all these booby traps. So him and the villains are on a race against time through this one giant pyramid that is full of all these different tricks and tropes. And
Mario Lanzas just donated with a sticker €5.
Thank you very much, man.
Symbol?
Yeah, I've never had a sticker before, so that's good. Keep it up, I will. And also, Mario, thank you for joining the Patreon. Just got the email about that. Thank you very much, man, for joining the Dino-Defenders family.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
But yeah, so Indiana Jones battles his way through Jumanji to get out of Jumanji. That's my pitch. Cause
that's a little bit too smart for its own good, Jack. And you could recycle a bunch of the ideas from the Indiana Jones and the Monkey King that they had planned, which there's an excellent dramatization of that script. I will post that link as well.
I need Indiana Jones and the Monkey King. I don't think I've ever heard of that. There you go. I need Buzz to be having a 1,000-yard stare. I was about to have him looking over his shoulder, but I just remembered what he's meant to be doing in this scene. I'm like, actually, no, he's meant to be looking off. Because Buzz is insanely... He's going through some things in this sequence.
The only thing I might ever suggest you add is a little bit of pinkness in them eyes.
Oh yeah, that's definitely being added. Just want to... Buzz is one of those characters that he always seems to look a little bit different every time I draw him, and he's really annoying to draw. I need to have him look a little bit a little bit of pinkness, eh? Let's do that in.
He's got that pronounced chin like a manly man.
Oh god, not that pink. Jesus Christ. Oh wait, I'll just do that for a laugh.
Oh god, he is cooked. He ate the brownies too.
I like the idea that he sat there with nothing in his hand. Like he thinks he's got something there, but there's nothing.
Well, if he's
that
crying,
high.
if he's crying as well, it might work.
He's that high. He thinks he's got a cigarette, but yeah, or the joint, but he hasn't. Oh my god! No, he's definitely got something in his hand.
Doesn't have to be lit.
God, that cracked me up. Okay, just a slight. There you go. That's good.
All right, we've avoided it enough. Enough dream mix-ups. How do you feel about the trailer for the new Camp Cretaceous?
I don't know. I don't care. I watched it. I just don't care. There's literally no thoughts about it, if I'm honest. I don't care what E750 is. I don't care. I just don't. Like, it sounds really harsh, but I just watched it. I was like, eh. I'm only watching it out of necessity because it's Jurassic. I'm just watching it because I feel like that's what I have to do. But I honestly just don't care. And it's sad because I would love to care more about it, but I just feel like that show is insanely lacking in what it could be, even as a kid's show. I'm going to do the Ripley thing where there's like a freaking ton of ash. Like he's not patted this down and it's somehow standing up. What did you think to it?
The trailer did not show me anything that would hook me anymore. The show is a curiosity to me more than it is like, oh, this is really scratching my Jurassic itch. There are little moments, like the idea of the Rex building a nest. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. Like that doesn't bother me. Like there's good ideas in there, but I'm just talking about like the execution for me, and
it feels like Teen Titans Go. I can't shake that mood.
Yeah, what annoys me is because it's like people are taking it as hard canon and they're trying to make it hard canon, and as someone who's worked in the canon, I'm like, there's so much wrong with this that I can't consider it canon. So that's where my issues mainly lie. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, yeah, like what you said, there's some good ideas in there. I would be lying if I said there wasn't.
I wonder if the junior novelization will tie it up all better.
Maybe. I won't never know. I don't think. I sound like such a bummer, but like I'm just being completely honest. I just have no interest in it. And funny enough, my nephew, I don't even think he's like that into it. Because I remember when we were watching season 2, and when what's his face Ben took on the Carnotaurus, he was like, "Really?" He's 7. He's 7. He's the target audience. He's the target audience, and he was like, "Yeah." He just didn't, and then he never talks about Camp Cretaceous. He only talks about, he likes the toys, that came out for Camp Cretaceous, but he likes the movies way more. That's what he wants to watch and talk about way more than Camp Cretaceous.
They definitely should have consulted Jack, Mr. Serpent.
Yeah, but I would have cost him too much money. That's why.
It wouldn't be fair, no Cowser, to rank the Jurassic movies on a scale of 1 to 10, because we're deep in the mud. We got personal attachments.
Also, I don't really like rating things out of 10 because my opinion changes. So it's like, on any given day, you can ask me what I think about a movie, and then it might change the next day.
There are certain movies that deserve an out of 10, like Aquaman, 5 out of 10. Half of that movie was really interesting.
I'm almost inclined to give it a 10 because it was like I'd never seen anything like it. It's like, well, I had seen everything like it, but not everything put together. It's like, this is every movie ever. Why do I need any other movie? I just watch Aquaman, like every movie ever made. That's a joke. If I had to actually give it a score, I'd probably give it a 3. It's really low. If I was giving it a serious number.
Did you notice that none of the actors, when they were underwater, ever had to exit a scene? They just got CGI floated away.
Yeah. And I noticed that like they paid all those CGI artists to animate like Dolph Lundgren's hair as it wafted in the water, but like Willem Dafoe's character ties his hair up, so they didn't even have to animate it. And I just thought, why did you not do that for all the underwater characters? Like, it's part of their culture that they just have their hair all tied up. So it's like,
it would have
saved you some money.
Willem Dafoe was already skirting the feminine line. You know, he's just got such this androgynous face. It would confuse the audience if he had long, wavy hair.
Yeah. God, that movie. Yeah. It was funny because there was like an advert for like the new Justice League by Zack Snyder before it. And my wife's going to watch that because she watched the Justice League.
Oh, that's interesting. All those trailers are just ramping up the intensity so hard.
I know, and it's funny because like, I don't know, it's like it's almost like they're making it sound like Zack Snyder is like some sort of genius. Like there's a Zack Snyder's cut of the movie, but really it's just fan demand. We want to see his cut because we didn't like the one you released. It's not like he's some absolute actual genius of cinema. It's more just fans wanted to see what he made. There you go. Now Buzz looks like he's seen some shit.
He's had a day, man.
Look at those two. They're both.
I know that feel.
It's me after watching Aquaman. Oh god, is that going to be a new emoji in the Discord?
Probably.
I've seen some shit, man. Right, okay, I'm going to cross Buzz out. Bear in mind, he hasn't got his Hawaiian jacket on anymore.
He just put it over the pillar to cover Kevin.
Yeah, I can do that. I can draw that over the pillow.
I'm kidding. I do not mean to insert jokes.
I do need to just scuff him up a little bit more, though. Just some lines on his arm, just like he's, the dust hit him. That'll do. I'll just do that. Okay, so Buzz, Walt, and Faye. We've only got 15 minutes of the stream left, so I don't know if I'll start on anyone else. Well, I might start on someone, but I'm not going to be able to finish it.
I will say, Zack Snyder does have an eye that, in more situations than not, works in terms of storytelling. In terms of, he's like J.J. Abrams, that you don't necessarily want to hand him the writing pen, but I loved his remake of Dawn of the Dead. That's still one of my top 10 movies. I saw that movie in theaters 4 times.
One of your top 10?
Yeah, and I love the other Dawn of the Dead just as much.
That's interesting. I've never seen it. I've seen the old Dawn of the Dead, but I've never seen the
I would have really
Zack
liked
Snyder remake.
The rumored follow-up, because it was rumored he was attached to Day of the Dead.
Right.
But I'm not sure what he moved on to after that point. But again, talk about a simple movie that doesn't get in its own way, and one that, honestly, touching back on diversity, it continues the Of the Dead tradition of putting a black man in a prominent leading role, and not making him trite, or he's still an action hero, but he's a human being in a terrifying situation. And I bought it. Ving Rhames, my dude.
Oh, is he the lead in it?
I'm pretty sure, unless I'm being an asshole for misnaming him. I will double check myself.
From Pulp Fiction, right? And the Mission Impossible.
Yep, that's Ving Rhames.
Krask says, I wish Camp Cretaceous was more high-budget PG-13 anthology show set between Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. Would have been cool to see smaller stories that connect and show dinosaurs roaming our world. Just tired of the island, sorry. Yes, I mean, yeah. I mean, I would have probably had more fun with that, based on the fact that, like, I wouldn't be complaining about canon as much, because the island, they wouldn't be on an island and just completely ignoring what's on the island.
You could tell they are starting to have to push their time frame as far back as possible before the events of the preceding movie begin to take effect. That's before the movie even happens.
Yeah. I'm just going to bring in Kate from this one. Where is she? Kate, where are you?
Because if I understand it, assuming the kids were just left on the island ad infinitum, the DPG would have discovered them at some point as well, correct?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, the DPG never went to the island, aside from Claire and Franklin and Zia in Fallen Kingdom. They're like a grassroots group. They haven't got enough funding to go to the island. And plus, like, when Fallen Kingdom, the events of Fallen Kingdom, we're basically up to the point where the government is deciding what to do with them, and it's taken that long to get to it because of Masrani Global going through all the lawsuits and all that sort of stuff, the fallout of the park, and Claire has to obviously go through all that and then make the DPG and build that up to where it is, and they're not at the point where they can go to the island and do what they want to do. And obviously it's when the government, after hearing testimony from different people, including obviously Malcolm, about what to do, they make the decision to not say, just to leave the dinosaurs to go extinct. And Claire obviously goes, that, like, no one cares, they're all going to die. And by hearing that, that's when Mills, Lockwood contact Claire to initiate their plan. Because you got to think, like, what would have Mills and his men have done had the government gone, yeah, we're going to go save them? Their plans would have been like, shit.
unless they try.
They'd have to go to Site B, or wherever they wanted to move them. So if they were going to move them, the likely place the government, had they gone, yeah, we're gonna go save them, would be Site B. So that's where they would move their operations to. But then they would have to come up with an entirely different scheme, because, you know, they want Blue. They've been, because you got to think, they've been on the island operating before Claire and that even gets there for about a week, I believe, collecting dinosaurs. So they only really want Claire to get Owen to get Blue. They don't want Claire to go and save the dinosaurs. So I always think, like, what if the government said, oh, we're going to save them? Then they're like, okay, we can't get Blue, but they're probably going to have other dinosaurs.
You could still... They don't need all of Blue. all they need is a blood sample, and
Well,
they've got it.
It wasn't because that was the point in the movie. It wasn't just a blood sample they needed. They wanted blue specifically because that dinosaur showed certain traits that no other one could do, and I would assume that means that like I do wish they had lent into this a bit more, but like had they cloned another blue and it just wasn't the same for whatever reason, even though it was a 1-for-1 clone.
Well, it was partly like it's a teachable behavior. One thing I learned from one of my exes is that dogs can learn communally, and especially with the amount of intelligence given to raptors, I would assume they just carry that trait over as well. That if they see one of their pack members exhibiting a behavior, they will watch and mimic that behavior, and that includes empathy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. That's what they say in the film. Is like blue is the key to the rest of the raptors. Like blue keeps the other ones in check, but if blue wasn't around, then they'd just be the raptors that we know from the previous 3 movies, or the previous first 2. Sorry, because the third ones are a bit weird.
Hoskins was on point when he made his wolves comparison, because you can draw that out, and history backs it right up with all of the different things we've done to dogs through the years to specialize them. Maybe they're not even looking at a raptor. They're looking at the fox iteration of a raptor that they breed down the line that's a third the size and retains all of the trained abilities.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I'm just looking for this image of Kate. You can kind of see how many bloody layers I've got in this behind your little image. There's so many. I'm trying to find this one of... I found it. Oh, it's called Layer 27. Isn't that interesting? I just want to get this in to here. It's the first time we ever saw Kate from the front.
Now, if you're already on it, take a moment to rename it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Call it... Well, I like to put them all together, so I need to find where I've collected all the Kates one, and I'll call it First Kate. There you go. And I'll move that up to here. There you go. Right. This is an absolute mess. This.
Titan of Serpents. Yeah, I'd love to see more stuff like Battle of Big Rock. There are so many different possible situations you can have with dinos interacting with the modern world. Yeah, that Battle at Big Rock exceeded my expectations for something I didn't even expect.
In what way?
They managed to cram a lot of storytelling into action sequence, which isn't the easiest thing to pull off. Like, you got, in those 10 minutes, you got a really good picture of that family and how that family operates in crisis.
Yeah.
And, like, the moment with the neighbors at the end.
Oh, where he comes out the caravan.
Yeah.
Just like, what the hell happened there?
That is right. I do think that there's a lot of room to tell a lot of small, non-connected stories with where they're at in the franchise right now. And honestly, it could be anything. You could tell like a Peter Rabbit story about Triceratops screwing up someone's cabbage farm.
I said like a Gallimimus racing movie, like, you know, like a horse racing movie, but instead of horses, it's Gallimimus.
Oh, people would do that, wouldn't they?
I broke this girl in.
This is dark, and they'd never commit it to movies, but cockfighting is huge down Mexico way, and I know a copy would be really interesting in a cockfight.
Or even like a new small raptor that they've cloned.
And if they want to be animal friendly, just let the rooster win.
Yeah, it breaks out and eats everyone. It's basically what would happen. Just trying to get Kate's basic lines down. I'll probably change her a bit from this, but I need this to be... I want that same sort of stance where she's stood with her arms crossed. Fun fact about Kate, she wears this tiny little wristband that has 3 little lights on it. When they're blue, she's calm. When they're red, she's angry.
Straight out of the 80s.
It's like an emotional register, because she gets a bit flummoxed, as we will see in this episode.
What is a gallimimus if not just a featherless ostrich or emu?
Yeah, exactly.
The emu war, man.
She's wearing
Tell that story with some gallimimus.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you could do anything. Now they're all over the world. It's just, what type of films do you want to make? I want to see a rom-com, but it's just a normal rom-com. It's just set in the world with dinosaurs. So like, they'll do the classic running to the airport to catch their loved one, and as they're talking in the airport, like, oh, I didn't think I'd make it, I love you, and all this sort of stuff. Just in the background in a field, you just see a stegosaurus wandering around.
They wouldn't have the balls to do that.
I know. Like, imagine you watch the whole film and there's no dinosaurs anywhere, but just in that one scene, you're like, what the fuck? I just saw a stegosaurus. What the hell's going on? I'd love it. That'd be great.
I doubt they could do this, but one of the big problems, they should just crack off the franchise and hand it to China and say, go ahead, make your own. Call it Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Batman has proved we can have parallel franchises of the same IP at once. Won't confuse audiences. It'll allow China to make exactly the sort of movie China wants to make. Praise be unto Mao.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be kind of fascinating. See what they would do.
Or Japan.
Japan would be more interesting.
Give Toho a crack at a Jurassic Park story. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, now you're talking. There you go. So I just got
Shin Jurassic Park.
Krask said I'd watch that rom-com. It's the rom-com with one stegosaurus in it.
Yeah, and he's got like a pet microraptor or pterodactyl or something.
No, it can't be too obvious. It's just going to be in the distance. It's like a little blurred in the distance.
Just happen to have a lot of missing dog posters in the background.
Yes, yeah, like all little details like that. That's what I'm saying. It'd be like, you actually make it feel like a Jurassic World. Like something's going on, but like people are still living their lives.
Oh, that's that magic the first half of Shaun of the Dead has.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just going to draw the rest of Kate's body with the lines, and then I'm going to end the stream because we are coming to the end and I've got work tomorrow, so I don't particularly want to be up too late.
Have you enjoyed your time off?
I have, yeah, I have. I've watched a lot of movies. And thanks to my daughter, who's decided to start sleeping for an hour, 2 hours in the morning. After she gets up, she has a nap, so that's given me the time to actually catch up on some movies. And in the evenings, so like, what have we watched this week? Me and my wife, we watched League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Aquaman. We watched Uncle Buck. Oh my god, that was the best film I watched this week.
That is a great movie.
God, I love that film. So funny. And like, it's one of those movies that like I've seen on TV a lot. Like, it's just been on when I was a kid a lot, but I've never really sat down and actually just watched it and really concentrated on it. And that's what I did the other day, and I was like, okay, I need to watch this movie more. This is great. So funny.
God bless John Candy.
Mm-hmm. You ever been to Sheboygan? That's what I've been saying to my daughter. She's 7 months old. I just keep turning to her. She finds it funny. I'm just like, you ever been to Sheboygan? Just trying to like imitate John Candy.
Hey, this is my hatchet.
Yeah. What else did we watch? We watched that. I started watching Godzilla '98 on Laserdisc because I've been buying loads of Laserdiscs.
Any special features on that one?
You get an audio commentary, which I didn't realise you could do on a Laserdisc. You can press a button and another audio track starts playing, and you can just flick it between the two anytime you want. And he's like, the director's just there, just talking.
That would be really interesting to get a little more insight on that film, because it's a very personal film, that is.
Yeah, I mean, the whole back of the Laserdisc box explains the making of the movie, essentially. I think
I caught a documentary about tsunamis on HBO, and the documentary itself was pretty bad until they got about 3/4 of the way through, and they highlighted something that the nation of Japan made in 2018. It was a public service announcement that is basically just a no-holds-barred drill for the next big scary quake that they expect, that runs along a particular fault line. And that 10-minute government PSA was more terrifying and more informative than the documentary, on par with San Andreas in scope.
Is this available to watch anywhere?
Yeah, but I'll find it. I had to go to Google Translate and put in tsunami NHK and actually find it. None of the search terms in English worked for me in finding the video, because I hunted it down the moment they started showing clips of it. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to check that out. That sounds like something that I'd like to enjoy. I was just trying to think what the other films I've watched.
There's so few good disaster movies anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what my favourite disaster movie is. But I don't know, can you class Twister as a disaster movie?
Sort of. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of.
I've been putting a lot of thought into Twister recently.
Great movie.
Yeah.
You know my thoughts on that movie, right?
Oh yeah, it's part of the Jurassic Park universe, and I love it.
Yes, definitely. That fits perfectly into the universe, in my opinion.
Where does Ian Malcolm work out of? University of Texas, man. If you know anything about the University of Texas and Oklahoma, they've got a beefy ass weather division.
God, you could just see Malcolm joining the cast there. Gary says Rosie Huntington Whiteley as Kate. I don't even know who that is. Who the hell is that? Is that the lady from... No, I don't know who that is. I'm trying to think. No.
Google registers her as a model, but she's been in a Transformers movie.
Then no.
Actually, okay.
Then no.
Wow. Dark of the Moon. That's... Ooh.
Oh, that's the best one. Okay, maybe. She good? Can't remember. Anyway, look, here you go. This is what we've got done for the stream today. We managed to get 3 characters done. Kate's here is next, addressing the room. This is the survivors. Or discussing what they're going to do next. I need to put some more details on the table, and I just realised that Buzz's arm goes over a glass. So I need to sort that out. Or just move the cup.
Still, that's a hell of a lot.
Yeah, it's alright. It takes a while. It's also because I do that stupid thing where I colour them in. Like I'm a child colouring it all in, rather than like some people who would use Photoshop would be like, why aren't you just drawing it so it's a solid place and then filling it with the colour that you need? And I don't know why. I just like to do it this old school, like draw every aspect of it.
You were doing some of that earlier when you did his pants and face top.
Yeah, I usually do the edges and then I'll just fill in the middle. But yeah, anyway guys, I'm gonna have to end the stream. Thank you so much, man, for coming on again.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And I guess I'm gonna have to name this stream something superheroes. Aquaman something.
The cultural zeitgeist of egoism.
Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. The cultural zeitgeist of egotism. It was egotism, wasn't it?
Honestly, you can put either. I'm the armchair philosopher. Don't come to me for exact quotations.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, guys, thank you, Big Shark and Mario, for the tips. And I'll be back here next Friday at 9 p.m. till midnight again. If I don't think there's going to be any more surprise streams because I'm back to work as normal now. So, but I do have this to say. June, I won't. Well, I mean, no one's going to be watching it, but like, I don't know if I'll be at that job anymore. So, I might have some more time to stream. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But no promises. Yeah, anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week. Yeah, see you later. Bye.
Take it easy.